The Peace Gong Media Literacy Program, a manual for coordinators. As the Peace Gong works to reach out to different parts of India and South Asia with the help of volunteer coordinators, it is important to recognize that it is a communication initiative which seeks to encourage and enable children to become not only good observers and good communicators, but good messengers of a social order of peacefulness, non-violence, and a fair deal for everyone in the society and the nation. This is not easy, but it is necessary. Stepping forward to make it possible, some adults are making a valuable contribution by becoming volunteer coordinators to encourage and enable the children who enter the Peace Gong circle. These volunteers demonstrate that they are themselves believers in good possibility and in children's potential to make a positive difference. Peace Gong training and activities promote media literacy among both children and those who volunteer to guide them. In many parts of India, in schools, communities, and institutions where children live and learn, Peace Gong volunteers encourage children to become good observers, honest thinkers, and competent communicators. In reporting information and expressing views, the Peace Gong participants present an informed message that problems of inequality and violence can be solved, that justice and peace are possible, that non-violence is possible, and that the peaceful way is the children's choice. And this is what the Peace Gong publications all say. Naturally, the development of knowledge and skills and the understanding of the guiding values calls for training. This is what this manual offers. All who join in Peace Gong's work may not be journalists or from the field of communication, but all step forward in the spirit of volunteerism to be coordinators, to contribute to the children's learning process and facilitate their participation. The manual aims to help coordinators to develop greater understanding of how to conduct training, how to develop children's interests and capacities to be discoverers of information, and to convey both news and views to their audience with a clear editorial message. By gaining competence in fact-finding and communication, in learning to judge what is good news and what is bad news, and looking at what makes them so, both children and their volunteer guides can become good representatives of an ethical mandate for progress. The interest and encouragement of the South Asia Initiative to End Violence Against Children and the Peace Gong has helped many young reporters across the length and breadth of the country develop an insight into different issues of concern like child marriage, child labor, child trafficking, missing children, corporal punishment, and child sexual abuse and exploitation. In this effort, young reporters and Peace Gong bureaus have learned about real problems of violence that children face and are writing reports and articles promoting children's rights to safety. A more focused and uniform media and communication training program will strengthen the children's process, and that is what SAI, EVAC and the Peace Gong are striving for. The Peace Gong mission is thus both important and challenging. It calls for both children and their guides to be aware and able communicators of both values and facts by looking for good examples of fairness and equity in the world around them, and learning to convey the value of non-violence in both word and deed. We hope that the existing Peace Gong coordinators and many others who wish to volunteer will gain information and guidance from this manual and reach out to enable children with the skills and values that Peace Gong seeks to offer. Wherever the volunteers and the children get together, the possibilities for responsible communication to bring about needed change will improve. The ever-changing revolutionary changes in technology have far-reaching impact on the media accessed by almost everyone. These changes have influenced and transformed every facet of modern life. Our lifestyles are fashioned by the digital technology-driven media. The digital age and the media have impacted our lifestyles, the way we eat, drink, dress, spend our leisure or entertain ourselves, and the way we communicate with each other. This digital revolution, on the one hand, has given opportunities to children to seek information and to create information, but on the other hand, large amount of information which is available at the click of a button poses huge challenge. They encounter the challenge of getting the right, relevant and authentic information from credible sources, the challenge of getting relevant information. Children are the future of any country. and hence their views are of great importance. They have access to information from across the world through web and also form their own perceptions and views. These views need proper consideration. They should be able to express them using a variety of media, and society ought to respect them. This Peace Gong Media and Information Literacy Manual raises such issues and offers ways and means through which children can access, analyze, and construct messages emanating from a plethora of media. In this, we have tried to apply the spirit of the following articles in the Convention of the Rights of Children. Article 12 states, parties shall assure to the child who is capable of forming his or her own views the right to express those views freely in all matters affecting the child, the views of the child being given due weight in accordance with the age and maturity of the child. Article 13 ensures the child shall have the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally in writing or in print, in the form of art, or through any other media of child's choice. Article 29 avers the education of the child shall be directed to the preparation of the child for responsible life in a free society, in the spirit of understanding peace, tolerance, equality of sexes, and friendship among all peoples. For promoting active citizenship for peaceful and non-violent democratic upbringing of children, here are the guiding principles of the Peace Gong. Let every dream become Martin Luther King's dream. Let every step towards peace become Mahatma Gandhi's salt march. Let every obstacle in your path become Nelson Mandela's painful 27 years in prison. We urge you to reassure yourself, to contribute your best to make the phenomenon of violence outdated, and try to motivate your friends to walk on the path of non-violence. Training objectives. On completion of the study of this manual, coordinators will be able to learn and apply the methodology of training children, organize a training session on media literacy, apply the basic principles of communication in their work situation, train children in print media, list characteristics of various media and their strengths, weaknesses for training children, write training objectives and assign practical work to children, orient children in deconstruction of messages in films and television, orient children to take up social media campaigns. It should promote mutual coexistence and inclusiveness among children. Peace Gong Media and Information Literacy Program. The Peace Gong Media and Information Literacy Program is running successfully in India with the support of hundreds of child reporters and experts in the field of media and information literacy. The emphasis in PGMILP is on developing communicative, semiotic, and cultural skills among with critical thinking abilities amongst children so that they can negotiate the increasing complexities of today's world. Besides, the thrust is to develop capacities of children to use the media to contribute towards a culture of peace and non-violence. The program encourages critical understanding, the use of both folk, traditional, and new media tools by young people. The program brings home the point that the use of folk media is as important as the new social media for contributing to a culture of peace and sustainable development. Objectives of the PGMILP: to help children to become more discerning in the use of mass media, to help children to distinguish between reality and fantasy and separate fact from fiction, to develop critical thinking skills from evaluating media messages, to make children understand how media and information literacy can contribute to character building and value education. With strong emphasis on the principles of nonviolence, the media literacy program can help alert students, parents, and teachers to the risks of a heavy diet of violence in the media, to help students to understand the immense harm that violence causes and by discerning to adopt peace and non-violence, to help young people to find peaceful means of resolving conflicts, to develop capacities of children to construct variety of media messages and media products. The program aims to use tools of media and information literacy to develop understanding of sustainable practices. With a special thrust on transgenerational sustainable development, the aim is to help children and young people to value their potential as caretakers of this planet, to develop understanding of both indigenous and modern tools of communications, with special emphasis on how knowledge systems can be used to further ecological security and sustainable development, to encourage young people to conduct reality checks on different issues. We wish to involve all children in this program irrespective of the various barriers made by our society. Building bridges of friendship for a non-violent planet. It has been an unique journey that we began in October 2011 when the first issue of the Peace Gong was launched. It was a humble beginning to build bridges of friendship amongst children of the world and prepare them to work for a non-violent planet. We presently have a print edition, a web edition, a braille edition, a talking paper and wallpapers. We have been able to bring together children from the length and breadth of not just within India, but have our friends from other countries who contribute from time to time. To quote our first editor, Spandana Bhattacharya, all of us have the light in us, a light powerful enough to purge the darkness around. We all have the spark in us, just waiting to be kindled. We all are peace warriors, trying to work day and night for a better tomorrow. And that's exactly what our platform, the Peace Gong, advocates: humanity. The Peace Gong is not just a platform for children to write on social concerns, but it is also a vehicle to promote child participation for community building. It also promotes child rights issues. The importance of media literacy education for peace has been succinctly articulated by our former associate editor and now coordinator, Sayyida Rumana Mehdi. Media has always played a seminal role in inspiring the youth to stand up against violence. Today's generation is much more sensitive. The more the exposure, the more they are forced to think and act. So young people who acquire communication and media literacy skills are in a position to use these effectively and contribute to the culture of peace and nonviolence. By Kanupriya Gupta, Class 10th, Bhopal, and editor of the Peace Gong. How the Peace Gong Media Literacy Program works. Initiated in October 2011, the Peace Gong is a media and information literacy initiative of the Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore Foundation, New Delhi. The foundation is a think tank of academicians, communication specialists, social workers, and researchers committed to promote media and information literacy for peace and sustainable development. The Peace Gong Children's Newspaper is a flagship program of the Peace Gong Media and Information Literacy Initiative of the Foundation. We reach out to children right from the line of control in Kargil, Jammu and Kashmir to Wayanad in Kerala, and from Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh to Agartala in Tripura. The Peace Gong bureaus have been established in 14 states of India. There are also child reporters who write us from different countries. This children's newspaper has been published in association with organizations like United Nations Volunteers, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, Rehabilitation Council of India, and the International Association of Volunteer Action. The Peace Gong is brought out quarterly. Special issues are also brought out from time to time. It is generally a 12-page edition. Special issues have been published during the World Food Day in association with the FAO of the UN, and another to mark the 10th anniversary of the International Year of Volunteers with the United Nations Volunteers. We have now entered into an agreement with the South Asia Initiative to End Violence Against Children, an apex body of the SAARC, to take Peace Gong amongst children of South Asia. How the Peace Gong functions. The Peace Gong represents a powerful model of volunteerism with coordinators, adults volunteering to work with the children in different parts of India. Majority of these coordinators are academicians who teach in different universities. Some are journalists, while others are practitioners in the field. Children below 18 years of age can be a part of the Peace Gong editorial team. The editors are also selected amongst the editorial team. The first editor was from Bengal, while the second and third from Kashmir and Kerala, respectively. The present editor is from Bhopal. All the editors so far have been girls. The Peace Gong and social interventions. The Peace Gong is not just a newspaper. We encourage the team members to contribute in community work. All the bureaus, right from Assam, Kashmir to Kerala, are involved in small community interventions like creating awareness on sanitation, importance of education, health, etc. The goal is to promote child participation in community building. A significant impact is how children have been able to initiate dialogue on common themes. For children to articulate or community, national, or global issues, they should be able to have open dialogues with their peers and other stakeholders. The Peace Gong brings together children in a common platform for a non-violent planet. Steps to develop the Peace Gong Bureau and involve children as the Peace Gong reporters. The foundation of the Peace Gong is volunteerism, where adult volunteers bring together child reporters in their communities, school, educational institutions. The thrust of these volunteers is to promote participation of children to create awareness on local concerns. Only those under 18 years of age can be the Peace Gong reporters. Seniors can be coordinators, facilitating and mentoring the children to enhance their communicative skills and use these skills to develop different communication products. Once the coordinator in a particular town, city, village, community brings together a few children, the children go through an orientation. This orientation is to give them an understanding of the media and develop communication skills. One of the important thrust areas is to address different dimensions of violence against children. Once a theme for a particular issue is decided, the coordinators, along with child reporters, start working on the story. Children are encouraged to conduct reality checks on different socio-economic situations in the local community and conduct interviews. The coordinators or mentors ensure that there is no scope for plagiarism. The internet can be used to do basic research and information tracking, but children are encouraged to do original stories with field interviews. The aim of the Peace Gong is to promote and respect diversity. Coordinators are encouraged to promote diversity in the team and celebrate a plural society. Derogatory language and slangs are forbidden. The coordinators try to promote non-violent communication as a principle and philosophy. Once a team of children is selected in a particular town, city, province, village, community, school, etc., the most active child reporter can be made the bureau chief. We aim to provide opportunities for children from difficult backgrounds or remote areas. We ensure that we reach out to the unreached and give voice to the voiceless. The Peace Gong team. We have tried to design this manual in such a way that the children, while working on certain issues, understand the relevance of media and information literacy. Media information literacy does not exist in isolation. It has to be integrated with the real situations and issues. So to keep it interesting and relevant in our journey through this Peace Gong Media and Information Literacy Manual, we are creating a team of young reporters who will explain with the help of their mentor media information literacy concepts while handling certain issues. They are not a real team but created to take you through this manual. This manual emerged from a series of e-discussions and interactions by Peace Gong bureaus in different parts of India. Let us begin the journey and see how these young reporters develop skills to respond to concerns of violence against children and contribute towards a culture of peace. We are sure your journey with these young reporters will be very exciting, and at times you yourself will feel a part of this team. Let us introduce you to the team. The team of children is led by young school teacher Satarupa as mentor. Our team members come from diverse backgrounds and this is done with a purpose. This would develop in the children respect for diversity and a will to work together with other young people from varied cultures and backgrounds. As we discuss media literacy training in the ensuing pages of this manual, Satarupa and a team of children will be seen engaged in training sessions. As we start this journey, let us work out the framework of this manual. It is divided into three parts. The first part deals how mentors and guides like Satarupa can train the young reporters. The Peace Gong team has many coordinators and will have several others in months and years to come. It is essential that they develop some core competencies so that they not only train children but can also become better trainers. The second part of the manual deals with certain fundamentals of media and communication. The third part is devoted to developing capacities of the child reporters in media and information literacy. How to use this manual. This is a self-study guide for the Peace Gong coordinators and anyone who would like to train children in media literacy. This would be of advantage to aspiring volunteers who have no formal training or experience in training children, journalism and media. This manual is divided into three parts. Part 1 deals with aspects of training. Part 2 explains some basic inputs on communication, journalism and media. And Part 3 comprises specific media literacy training inputs with practical examples and illustrations. The users of this manual have to go beyond this text and solve some of the questions raised and also certain suggestions for inclusion in different sections. The suggested further readings would widen the horizons of knowledge. We would urge you to draw up your own training programs and try out the practical exercises and techniques. As this is a self-study guide, in case the user has any doubt or needs any further clarifications, kindly contact us at thepeacegong@gmail.com. Happy learning!
Fourth, role playing. When you use role playing during your training programs, remember that the world comes to your training sessions. Here, the learner takes on role in a play, simulating a real life situation. Once you start with the problem or issue, a dialogue will evolve. You will notice that a role play helps the children in interpersonal skills and problem solving. Above all, it brings life into the session. Children will need a bit of guidance, but they can be adamant at writing and performing as well. They have a different perception of situation, and so it can be interesting to hear what they have to say for us. Hearing impaired kids can visually be a treat to watch in various situations. They can perform mimes or their narrations can be taken over by other kids. 4 steps for a role playing. Here are the 4 steps to arrange a role playing. Step 1. The trainer prepares the group by making sure that everyone understands the problem or issue. Step 2. The role play. Step 3. Get feedback from players and other participants. Step 4. Point out the role play's relevance in learning. Make the learners understand why the role play was done. Here is an example of a role playing organized by us. We were talking to street children in Delhi along with police constables. The idea was to make the policemen more empathetic to street children and the street children to shed unnecessary fear of the policemen. So the street children wore the policeman's cap and wielded their lathi. The policemen on the other hand played street children. The result of the role playing was electrifying. The children thought that they had power with the cap and the policemen felt that they had become powerless. You can try some innovative role plays. Reinforcement and rewards. Students, especially children, are motivated and encouraged when they are appreciated for giving a correct response or contributing a fresh idea. Reinforcement is the student's reward when learning is achieved. They do not accept to be materially rewarded but accept one of the following reinforcements in learning situations. A. An encouraging smile or nod of head. B. A pat on the back. C. A sense of humor in response. D. Explicit expression of friendliness and openness. E. By playing to the dominant traits of the trainees. Transfer. Check what the children have learned. This can also be an evaluation of the program. It is said that what is important in such a program is not what inputs we have given them, but what they have taken away from the program. To put it a bit different, it is to check whether what is in your head Environment. The physical environment where you conduct the training program is important. It may not be swanky or air conditioned but comfortable. The physical environment would also include lighting, acoustics, ventilation, furniture, seating arrangement, etc. This better to avoid the normal classroom seating arrangement. Remember that children should not feel that they are back in regular classrooms. You can try to circle or U-shaped seating where everyone, including the trainer, has prominence. Then there is the academics or intellectual environment which should be conducive to learning. FAQ 5. Should I use audiovisual aids in my training program? Training program as matter of routine use audiovisual aids. If you plan to use any audiovisual aid, ask yourself its relevance. Or do you want to use them to add color, value, novelty, or just a gimmick? You are the best judge to decide. Before introducing any fancy audio visual component, ensure that it does not marginalize you or come in the way of learning. Of course, you have to consider your budget and resources. Some of the common aids teacher and trainer use are as follows. A. Chalk and board. Chalk and board are probably only aid available to teachers for at least 2 centuries. Even today in school and colleges across the country, this aid is being used. Traditional blackboard might have changed color and chalks would have been replaced by more sophisticated markers. Yet, the board and chalk are the most affordable and time-tested for their effectiveness. One has to practice how to write on the board. Never show your back to the audience or cover the board with your body and write as if you are writing some secret on the board. What is written on the board has no permanence as it is erased almost instantly. Never show. Needless to say, what you write used to be legible and the letters large enough for the backbenchers to see. Also speak as you write. You can even draw flowcharts for better understanding. Flip charts. A roll of paper or chart paper mounted on a stand is commonly used today. It is easy to use and you have the facility of referring what you have written. C. Audio programs. If you have recording and playback facilities, you can try interviews, song, etc. in your programs. You may probably try to use your mobile phones for this purpose. D. PowerPoint presentations. If you have a projector and a computer, you can occasionally make a PowerPoint presentation. Ensure that the projector works and the slides are readable for the learners in the last row of your classroom. You should again take care of speaking as you write. E. Film video. While making film videos is expensive, you may borrow or hire programs which is relevant to your topic. Sometimes you can download them from the internet. F. Handouts. It is common that specially designed handouts are distributed during training programs. The trainer in fact gives specific information on topic of importance. These handouts are not like class notes given by teachers to help students to cram up answers for an examination. The training handout provides main point to be remembered on an important concept or cognitive skills. A handout just towards the end of the session. If they are given in advance, the trainer would show less interest in the session assuming that they have all the information in the handouts. Generally, when the handouts are given during training programs, the tendency is to keep it for later reading. But in majority of cases, they would never ever read the handouts even once. So, when handouts are given, make sure you give them enough time during the session to read the handouts at least once. The trainees are asked to raise doubts or clarifications if any. They can also be asked to discuss the handouts in the using session. You can also make them available in Braille. FAQ 6. What is the significance of team building? Mentors and coordinators like Satarupa have challenges of developing an effective team of young Peace Gong reporters. Each member of the team could be from diverse background, culture conditions, families, etc. Team building is an essential ingredient of developing a strong bureau. A group of children from a bureau. What when is a group and how does a group differ from a team? Team. A group is generally defined as a collection of individuals with some things in common, such as being in the same place or having shared interests. On the other hand, a team may be a collection of individuals with a mixture of skills and knowledge that combine when working together to achieve defined objectives. A group may comprise large number of people who are ready to follow the commands of a single leader, whereas a team is composed of people who are not only eligible to achieve a task but also bond with each other. Team members have a basic purpose and identify and work with mutual support. Team outperform individuals and the team leader is less important and difficult to identify because all members lead the team at different times. So the spirit of a team helps to achieve a predetermined goal. The best example is that of a football or cricket team. Each member of such team has individual skills who work under a captain. When they play in a tournament, they play together to beat their opponents. Now, how will you train the members of your bureau to have a team spirit? The easiest way is to tell an inspiring story or refer to a popular film. There are plenty of stories in folklore, like an old man asking his sons to break a tightly tied bundle of sticks, which they failed to do. The old man untied the bundle and demonstrated that the sticks could easily be broken if they taken up one by one. There are plenty of old sayings, aphorisms, and catchphrases in praise of being united as a team. Look at the following. Team is an acronym of short form of Together everyone achieve much. United we stand, divided we fall. While discussing the concept of team and team spirit, remember that you are not imparting or honing any skills, but a concept in the realm of cognitive or thinking. So you have to present facts cogently, logically, and convincingly. You, as a trainer, ought to have ingenuity and creativity. FAQ 6. What is creativity and how do we use creativity in training children? Let us examine the team creativity and how we can use creativity in our training programs. If we ask people whether they are creative or not, the majority of response may be negative. Most people attribute creativity to poets, playwrights, and novelists, performing artists, painters, or sculptors. This obviously is wrong notion according to many experts. We would like to introduce at least one author who has been a prolific writer and motivational speaker, Edward de Bono. It would be useful for you to lay your hands on de Bono's books like Literal Thinking, Six Thinking Hats, How to Have a Beautiful Mind, or How to Have a Creative Idea. Well, de Bono was over 50 books, or at least some of you have read one of his books. Edward de Bono points out meanings of the word create as bring into being something that was not there before. He adds, so someone can create a mess. That means bringing into existence a mess that did not exist before. Is that person creative? We hasten to add that what has been brought into existence must have value. So creativity is bringing into existence something that has value. There is of course the element of newness because repetition, no matter how valuable, is not seen as creative. So copying what others have said or done is not creative. Most of us tend to copy and repeat ideas and techniques in our training programs from others considering better than us. Our education and training may be instrumental in making us more knowledgeable. We also tend to adopt short cuts like seeking solutions for search engines. Ask your team members to fill the blank for the following sentence. If there is a will, dash, from our experience we can tell with certainty that all the students would say. If there's a will, there's a way. You might argue that they can correct us all. They can correct as all of us learned it that in our schools. And you are right. Of course, that is not a creative response, but a repetition from a memory. Now, let us ask them to use their originality or creativity and fill in the blanks again. If you don't get a proper answer, then write down on the whiteboard or flip chart a different and obviously more creative response. If there's a will, there will be relatives. You may have to explain them that a will is what a will is. You can create many such examples to make children understand how to think differently. A model training session. Let us assume that our coordinator Satyarupa want to organize a training session on communication. So, what could be the essential element in that? Given below is a model training session. Similar sessions can be designed for a variety of issues. This one-day program is essentially a communication soft skill training program for children. It is almost entirely participatory and is meant to inspire them to be active citizens, conscious of their role in the community, to use media effectively. Once they enhance speaking and writing skills, their confidence level would naturally go up. It can also help them to improve their curricular and extracurricular activities. The medium of the program should preferably in a language which children understand best. A day may be too short for such a program, and obviously it is impossible to transform the participant into effective speaker and write in such a short time. The program can however kindle the program can however kindle a spark in them to work on their communication skills. Inaugural program Ice Breaking. Time 30 to 45 minutes. Season 1. Session 1. Fun with Figures. Introduction. This is an entirely participatory session involving every member of the group. It will be led by the trainer who would involve the participants in this session for unwinding, shedding inhibitions, and setting the mood for the day, or more of every exciting and hard work. Objective of the session: to make the participants feel comfortable with each other. Participants are motivated to be active throughout the program. Develop a sense of camaraderie and team spirit. Enable the trainer to be familiar with the levels of understanding of the participant. To make the participants to think creatively. Time 30 minutes. Materials: laptop and LCD projector. Braille slates for all the participants. Learning methods: quiz, brainstorming, cartoons, creativity exercises, riddles, and brain teasers. Remember, it is for the trainer to find out, devise such exercises. Session 2. Let us communicate. Introduction. This session is guided by the trainer for the participants to understand the basic concept of communication. It would explain without complication, definitions and theories what communication is and its element and types. The objective of session: first, to enable participants to define and understand the basic of communication. Second, to help them list the elements of communication. Third, to enable and learn the different type of communication. Fourth, to know about various media and its uses. Time 1 hour. Materials: flip chart, scribbling pads, color maker pens, LCD projector, braille slates, stylus. Learning method: brainstorming, role playing, group discussion, Q&A. Session 3. Speaking effectively. Introduction. Speaking comes naturally to us, but there is a tendency to take speaking for granted. People may communicate with ease in their immediate social circles, but when it comes to strangers and formal occasions, they may become reticent and withdrawn. Few meaningful inputs and exercises can help each people improve at least marginally in communicating with others. Interpersonal communication skills are essential surviving skills. Objective of the session: First, to enable participants to learn what speech is all about. Second, to learn elements of speech personality and use voice effectively for presentations. Third, to improve interpersonal communication skills. Fourth, to learn interviewing techniques. Time 21 and a half hours. Time 2.5 hours. Material: scribbling pads, flip charts, audio recordings and playback facility, LCD, braille slates and stylus. Learning methods: brainstorming, group exercises, Q&A, role playing. Session 4: Writing skills. Introduction. There is a great tendency to attribute writing skills to creative writers, playwrights, and poets. As languages are often taught as any other subject in school, writing skills are confined to the academics environment. The result is that most of the students coming from ordinary schools' writing skills needs to be improved to survive a highly competitive. Objective of the session: first, to make participants conscious about the hidden writing talents in them. Second, to enable them to learn the ABCD of writing skills. Third, to learn effective writing techniques. Time 2.5 to 3 hours. Material: whiteboard, flip chart, slip pads and pens, LCD projectors, braille slates and stylus. Learning methods: writing exercises, brainstorming and Q&A. Note: just take care that you have to be verbal and visual presenters. You can take help from different special educators in the process.
Part 1: Perspectives on Training. At the onset, congratulations to you for volunteering to be a coordinator of the Peace Gong. We appreciate your social consciousness and commitment to serve the children in your area. We are conscious that many of you may not be teachers, trainers, or trained journalists. But as you have an open mind and willingness to learn, neither your basic educational qualifications nor your profession would matter. Further, your rich and varied experience in life would stand you in good stead in becoming an efficient trainer and coordinator. Further, your rich and varied experience in life would stand you in good stead in becoming an efficient trainer and coordinator. Let us look at some major doubts and fears you may have before taking up the challenge of a Peace Gong coordinator. Here are some frequently asked questions by prospective coordinators like by prospective Satarupa. Question 1. What is training? You are familiar with the term learning and training. Training involves learning, but there can be differences. Whereas learning is defined as a change in behavior as a result of experience, training is considered to be restructuring of previously learned behavioral patterns. We learn to speak in our mother tongue as part of a natural socialization process, but we learn alphabets and writing with the help of instructions and practice. However, if we have to use a computer keyboard, we need to be trained. Such training can be through online using software or an instructional book or with the help of an instructor or trainer. Lots of learning takes place in our early days of schooling. Schools teach us the 3 R's, namely reading, writing, and arithmetic. But as we become adolescents, learning appears to be boring. By now, we start training ourselves in various skills. It could be skills to use a computer, or swimming, or running, or jumping as an athlete. We learn to write an essay in the 6th standard, but when we have to write for a newspaper, radio, or television, we need to be trained. You may ask as to how you can facilitate better understanding of the media amongst young people and develop their communicative skills. This manual would help you to understand how to use different media in enhancing communication skills in children and how they can use these skills to raise their voice in issues concerning them. First of all, let us do an analysis of your job as a Peace Gong coordinator. Let us first consider the following requirements for such an analysis. The skills needed. The one, the skills needed. Second, the time needed for each element of learning the skill. Third, the information component needed. Fourth, the logical structure needed in instructional design. Fourth, the logical structure needed in instructional design. Fifth, the performance standards needed to be achieved. Sixth, a budget. Seventh, the time that can be allocated for a training program. Eighth, the methods and the means. To put it simply, a Peace Gong coordinator's essential job comprises identifying and bringing together children in the age group of 13 to 18 years. Obviously, the children may have fairly good writing and speaking skills, could be good illustrators, cartoonists, or even slogan writers, and may be ready to volunteer and work with a team spirit and having inquiring mind with inquisitiveness. Once a group of such children is in position, the coordinator has to motivate and guide them to pick up skills, to gather relevant information, to observe, interview, and report, which would ultimately appear in the pages of the Peace Gong or evolve together a child-led campaign for a cause. So, what are your duties and tasks to train and enable children to become socially conscious child reporters and those who have critical understanding of different forms of So, what are your duties and tasks to train and enable children to become socially conscious child reporters and those who have critical understanding of different forms of communication? You need to have enough information, knowledge, and skills to train children in communication and media literacy. Do you think you are equipped to handle responsibilities to train the children? Let us do an analysis of your job as a Peace Gong coordinator. Your duties: identify a group of children, motivate them to work as a team of volunteers, training, train children to be reporters, and managerial duties. Your tasks: to contact organization, etc., to form a cohesive team, motivation and team building, to prepare a training module, write down write objectives, instructional design and finding resource persons, schedule for the program, budget, conduct workshops, understanding media, a reporter at work, skills of a reporter, information gathering and field work, working with the core team, PR and networking. The above job analysis would tell you the enormity of your work. One has to take up this challenge with commitment, dedication and self-confidence. One has to take up this challenge with commitment, dedication and self-confidence. Trust in yourself that with the help of this specially designed manual, you will easily accomplish your job as a coordinator. Question 2. Who is a trainer and what is expected of a trainer? It is important to understand who a trainer is. For some of you, it may be for the first time that you may be training children. Children have insatiable inquisitiveness and have plenty of questions. This, in fact, would be a source of joy for you, and the trainer needs to understand the nature and mind of children. Needless to say, they are very sensitive, impulsive, and fragile, and so have to be handled with care, love, and concern. They should not be underestimated as naive or unaware of what is happening around them. A trainer has to treat them as worthwhile junior citizens of our country who have their own mind, views, and opinions. A trainer has to treat them as worthwhile junior citizens of our country who have their own mind, views, and opinions. Let's see what let's see let's see what is expected of a trainer. Here is a list for your consideration. First, conduct instruction. Second, conduct practical sessions. Third, prepare session plans. Fourth, prepare handouts. Fifth, select the most appropriate methods and means. Sixth, assess results. Seventh, analysis or evaluation of training outcome. To achieve the above, a trainer needs the following skills: communication, analytical skills, instructing and demonstrating skills, creativity, managerial skills, counseling, interpersonal or positive relations, problem solving. Please introspect and see whether you need to improve any of the above skills. Question 3. How do I design a training program? How do coordinators like Satarupa design a training program? Well, she and others like her have to independently design and conduct training programs for children. Organizations train their employees when they are recruited. These are called induction or basic training programs. There will also There will also be periodic training or refresher programs to hone the skills or update their knowledge levels. Training programs are also planned when there are performance discrepancies. Training programs are also planned when there are performance discrepancies or when employees do not perform to laid down standards. Now, what kind of training do the group of children in your bureau need? Obviously, they have to be told about the objectives of the Peace Gong and how the paper is produced. We do not start a program for children straight away with a long winding speech. Instead, we may have a round of introduction, not in the routine manner, but in some innovative way. Think of various ways in which you can do this. It is natural that children may be serious, if not stiff, not so confident, if not nervous. An amount of anticipatory fear of the trainer is possible, as they may think that your training program is an extension of a conventional classroom. You, therefore, need to dispel such fears and create a friendly, democratic, and informal atmosphere. For that, you can think of some novel exercises to break the ice. Here again, use your imagination and creativity in devising games, riddles, puzzles, quizzes, etc. Think of a question like the following. 7 people on parting shake hands with each other. How many handshakes are there? Or, there is a road with pavements, trees, shops, buildings, temples, and fast food joints on either side. The question is how can make this road broad without touching anything on either side of the road. You have to find out the answer yourself to include these or many other such icebreakers. You will find that the children will love such a session and will be with you for active participatory learning sessions. You have to write down a set of objectives for your training program. You have to decide what you want them to do after attending your program. You have to draw on their previous experience and learning to prepare the list of objectives. Your objectives have to be realistic, achievable, and centered on their needs. Each objective has to describe very precisely the behavior or performance which the trainee will be able to do as a result of the training experience. For example, if you train them in a skill, you should ensure that they would apply that skill into practice. Question 4. What methodology should I follow? We do not want to go into the traditional mode of teaching in a classroom, where the teachers give lectures and students listen. Media literacy training is practical and participatory in nature. Each student will have to be motivated to be a part of the training process, contributes and takes to hands on learning. The more practical work we do with our students, the more they would gain. For this, coordinators like Satarupa will have to be friends with the children and work as a team. We will have to bring in innovation and creativity. We have to ask ourselves, as a trainer, can I be smart? We have a word smart, which can actually make you a smart trainer. Ask yourself, can I be smart? SMART is an acronym. S. Student-centered. M. Motivation. A. Activity. R. Reinforcement or reward. T. Transfer. And E. Environment. Student-centered. This is different from the traditional method of training. The focus here is on the learner or participant. The methods which are used during the training process include active learning, wherein the participants are encouraged to formulate questions, answer questions, and solve problems on their own. In the student-centered approach, the participants are also encouraged to initiate dialogues, discussions, and brainstorm. The method encourages cooperative learning amongst the participants, wherein the team work as a group on issues and problems. This promotes both interdependence and also individual accountability. The traditional trainer-centered method encompasses instructions and lectures. However, the student-centered methods helps in development of critical thinking ability, innovative problem-solving skills, in-depth understanding of the subject, and greater confidence in acquisition of knowledge and skills. Development of communicative skills and critical understanding of the media and information of our young reporters should be the center of training program and mentorship. We have to challenge our young team members to use their creativity and critical thinking abilities to bring in their best. It will also enhance their personality and negotiate complexities in their everyday lives. In a case where we have visually impaired children, we need to adopt methods that are inclusive and are verbal in nature, rather than visual. If we use a visual method, we should make sure that we speak and explain the content. These methods vary with the involvement of differently abled individuals who strive to be media literate. Motivation. Motivation is a universal communication experience where a source tries to influence and affect changes in the behavior of a receiver. Parents, teachers, preachers, advertisers, politicians, media persons, and many others constantly try to motivate us to do something or not to do something, or accept or reject a particular philosophy or concept. You may read the theory of motivation by Abraham Maslow and others to know more about the subject. Motivation has been defined as an internal state or condition, sometimes described as need, desire, or want, activating or energizing behavior and give it a direction. As a trainer, it is for you to motivate the group of children of the Peace Gong Bureau. Let us list the major contributors to motivate the children. First, your enthusiasm. Second, relevance of what you speak. Third, difficulty level of inputs, both spoken and written, to be appropriate. Fourth, active involvement of children. Fifth, variety. Sixth, rapport. Seventh, use of appropriate, concrete, and understandable examples. Motivational techniques. Plenty of activities and exercises. Make them active participants in learning. Children assisted demonstrations. Allow children to invade your space. Be familiar with all the children by name. Try humor. Be enthusiastic. Never lose your cool. Avoid demeaning, sarcastic comments. No threats. Reward good work. Try and send a congratulatory message or email. Help children to set achievable goals for themselves. Avoid unnecessary, unhealthy competition during training sessions. Remember that it is not what you told them, but what they have taken away. Activities. What kind of activities can I plan? As the training programs for children are almost entirely participatory, there has to be plenty of activities for cognitive and skill training. Here are some of the suggested activities. First, question and answers. All of us are familiar with teachers asking questions in the classroom. We all grew up with our school teachers asking questions and the enthusiasm level of our peers rising. We wanted to catch the attention of the teacher and impress our peers. Needless to say, asking questions to students was practiced by our ancient saints and teachers or the Greek masters. Think of some of the following questions. First, information questions. It is memory based where no interpretation is needed. is needed. It is it, however, is trainer-centered. P. Leading questions. Such questions seek a specified answer and lead to the information required. They provide clues to the required answer. Probing questions. These are inquiry-oriented and child-centered questions. They generate mental activity and call for rationalizing and may help develop ideas. Open questions. Such questions give a long answer and provoke discussion. Closed questions. Such questions are used to wind up a discussion or unnecessary arguments. Yes or no questions. Obviously, such questions would result in the answer yes or no. Ambiguous questions. These are badly worded questions that create confusion and the children may not give any specific answer. Rhetorical questions. Such questions call for no answer. Personal questions. Such questions may discourage children and are better avoided. Complex questions. These are many questions rolled into one. You may get answer only to the last component of the question. Redundant question. They call for no answer at all. From the above types of questions, you can make out how you can frame your questions during your training programs. Try and identify what type of questions are the following. How can I go to the cricket stadium from the railway station? What will happen to this country? How can we encourage people to quit smoking? How can we improve the teaching standards of our school? Why should we have regular classes on Saturdays? What are the main seasons in India? What article of the Constitution of India guarantees freedom of speech and expression? Why did you decide to be a child reporter? Have you decided to become a child reporter? When did you decide to become a coordinator? What can be done to motivate children in a learning situation? What do you like to do in your spare time? Have you decided to quit chewing pan with tobacco? Two methods of asking questions in training program for children. First, the direct method. In this method, the question is directed towards a particular student. Obviously, there are advantages and disadvantages of this method. For example, a trainer can be accused of being partial to his or her favorite student. Think of other advantages or disadvantages. Second, the overhead method. Here the question is meant for anyone in the class. Anyone can answer. 2. The talk and chalk method or lecture. In many learning sessions, young people expect to be lectured to. These are basically information giving sessions but are very useful. The talk and chalk sessions are time tested. Attention span of children being short, there is a danger of children getting passive and restless. They may appear to be listening and smiling at you, but may be daydreaming or doodling. Thus, if they write the important points as you speak, it will help them to be active and listening. You have to remember not to expect children to retain much of what you have told them. The longer it is, the worse is its impact. So pepper your lecture by inviting questions, using jokes or relevant anecdotes, audiovisual aids, etc. Remember to write legibly on the chalk or whiteboard and practice how to write on boards. Making them write on their braille slate and then revising what they have written will help the students to understand better. Similarly, you are expected to speak as you write on the board to facilitate participation. You can take the help of a special educator who knows sign language to involve hearing impaired individuals. Third, brainstorming methods. In participatory learning, brainstorming is a very good way of getting ideas and draw on everyone's experience. Let the mind of the children explore an idea without any limits. Their conclusions and suggestions need not be practical or even sensible, but do not dismiss them. While conducting a brainstorming session, please keep the following points in mind. Make sure that the topic or problem is clear to everyone. The quality is to generate many ideas. The idea is to generate many ideas. Your emphasis may not be on quantity and not necessarily all Your emphasis may not be on quantity and not necessarily on quality. You may allow any idea, however fantastic or ridiculous they may be. Try and relate to the ideas. Do not criticize or ridicule children for what may appear to be foolish. Do not criticize or ridicule children for what may appear to be foolish. Fourth, role plays. When you use role plays during your training programs, remember that the world comes to your training session. Here, the learner takes on the roles in a play simulating a real life situation. Once you start with the problem or issue, a dialogue will evolve. You will notice that a role play helps the children in interpersonal skills and problem solving. Above all, it brings life into the session. Children will need a bit of guidance, but they can be adamant at writing and performing as well. They will have a different perception of situations, and so it can be interesting to hear what they have for us. Hearing impaired kids can visually be a treat to watch in various situations. They can perform mimes, or their narration can be taken over by other kids. 4 steps for a role play. Here are the 4 steps to arrange a role play. Step 1. The trainer prepares the group by making sure that everybody understands the problem or issue. Step 2. The role play. Step 3. Get feedback from players and other participants. Step 4. Point out the role play's relevance in learning. Make the learners understand why the role play was done. Here is an example of a role play organized by us. We were talking to street children in Delhi along with police constables. The idea was to make the policemen more empathetic to street children and the street children to shed unnecessary fear of the policemen. So the street children wore the policeman's cap and wielded their lathi. The policemen, on the other hand, played street children. The result of the role play was electrifying. The children thought that they had power with the cap, and the policemen felt that they had become powerless. You can try some innovative role plays. Reinforcement or rewards. Students, especially children, are motivated and encouraged when they are appreciated for giving a correct response or contributing a fresh idea. Reinforcement is the student's reward when learning is achieved. They do not expect to be materially rewarded, but expect one of the following reinforcement in the learning situation: an encouraging smile or nod of head, a pat on the back, a sense of humor in response, explicit expression of friendliness and openness. By playing to the dominant traits of the trainees. Transfer. Check what the children have learned. This also can be an evaluation of the program. It is said that what is important in such a program is not what inputs we have given them, but what they have taken away from the program. To put it a bit differently, it is to check whether what was in your head has been transferred to their head. Environment. The physical environment where you conduct the training program is important. It may not be swanky or air conditioned, but comfortable. The physical environment would also include lighting, acoustics, ventilation, furniture, seating arrangements, etc. This better It is better to avoid the normal classroom seating arrangement. Remember that children should not feel that they are back in a regular classroom. You can try the circle or U-shaped seating where everyone, including the trainer, has prominence. Then, there is the academic or intellectual environment which should be conducive to learning. Question 5. Should I use audiovisual aids in my training programs? Trainers, as matter of routine, use audiovisual aids. If you plan to use any audiovisual aid, ask yourself its relevance, or do you want to use them to add color, value, novelty, or just as a gimmick? You are the best judge to decide. Before introducing any fancy audiovisual component, ensure that it does not marginalize you or come in the way of learning. Of course, you have to consider your budget and resources. Some of the common aids teachers and trainers use are as follows. A. First, chalk or board. Chalk and blackboard were probably chalk and blackboard were probably the only aid available to teachers for at least 2 centuries. Even today, in schools and colleges across the country, this aid is being used. Traditional blackboards might have changed colors, and chalks would have been replaced by more sophisticated markers. Yet, the board and chalks are the most affordable and time tested for their effectiveness. One has to practice how to write on the board. Never show your back to the audience or cover the board with your body and write as if you are writing some secret on the board. What is written on the board has no permanence as it is erased almost instantly. Needless to say, what you write has to be legible and the letters large enough for the backbenchers to see. Also, speak as you write. You can even draw flowcharts for better understanding. Second, flip chart. A roll of paper or chart paper mounted on a stand is commonly used today. It is easy to use and you have the facility of referring what you have written. Third, audio programs. If you have been recording and playback facilities, you can try interviews, songs, etc. in your programs. You may probably try to use your mobile phone for this purpose. Fourth, PowerPoint presentation. If you have a projector and a computer, you can occasionally make a PowerPoint presentation. Ensure that the projector works and the slides are readable for learners in the last row of your classroom. You should again take care of speaking as you write. Fifth, film or video. While making films or video is expensive, you may borrow or hire programs which is relevant to your topic. Sometimes you can download them from the internet. Sixth, handouts. It is common that specially designed handouts are distributed during training programs. The trainer, in fact, gives specific information on topics of importance. These handouts are not like class notes given by teachers to help students to cram up answers for an examination. The trainer handouts provide the main points to be remembered or an important concept or cognitive skill. A handout just gives bullet marks or the main points and is not written like an essay. Handouts are normally given towards the end of a session. If they are given in advance, the trainees would show less interest in the session, assuming that they have all the information in the handouts. Generally, when handouts are given during a training program, the tendency is to keep for later reading. But in a majority of cases, they would never ever read the handouts even once. So, when handouts are given, make sure that you give them enough time during the session to read the handout at least once. The trainees are asked to raise doubts or clarification, if any. They can also be asked to discuss the handouts in ensuing sessions. You can also make them available in Braille. Question 6. What is the significance of team building? Mentors and coordinators like Satarupa have challenges of developing an effective team of young Peace Gong reporters. Each member of the team could be from diverse background, cultural conditions, families, etc. Team building is an essential ingredient of developing a strong bureau. A group of children forms a bureau. What then is a group and how does a group differ from a team? A group is generally defined as a collection of individuals with some things in common, such as being in the same place or having a shared interest. On the other hand, a team may be a collection of individuals with a mixture of skills and knowledge that combine when working together to achieve defined objectives. A group may comprise large number of people who are ready to follow the commands of a single leader, whereas a team is composed of people who are not only eligible to achieve a task but also bond with each other. Team members have a basic purpose and identity and work with mutual support. Teams outperform individuals and the team leader is less important and difficult to identify because all members lead the team at different times. So, the spirit of a team helps to achieve a predetermined goal. The better example is that of a football or a cricket team. Each member of such a team has individual skills who works under a captain. When they play in a tournament, they play together to beat their opponents. Now, how will you train the members of your bureau to have team spirit? The easiest is to tell an inspiring story or refer to a popular film. There are plenty of stories in your folklore, like an old man asking his sons to break a tightly tied bundle of sticks, which they failed to do. Then the old man untied the bundle and demonstrated that the sticks could easily be broken if they are taken up one by one. There are plenty of old sayings, aphorisms, and catchphrases in praise of being united as a team. Look at the following. TEAM is an acronym or short form for Together Everyone Achieves Much. United we stand, divided we fall. While discussing the concept of team and team spirit, remember that you are not imparting or honing any skill, but a concept in the realm of cognition or thinking. So, you have to present facts cogently, logically, and convincingly. You, as a trainer, ought to have ingenuity and creativity. What is creativity and how do we use creativity in training children? Let us examine the term creativity and how we can use creativity in our training programs. If we ask people whether they are creative or not, majority the majority of responses may be negative. Most people attribute creativity to poets, playwrights, and novelists, performing artists, painters, or sculptors. This obviously is a wrong notion according to many experts. We would like to introduce at least one author who has been a prolific writer and motivational speaker, Edward de Bono. It would be useful for you to lay your hands on de Bono's books like Lateral Thinking, Six Thinking Hats, How to Have a Beautiful Mind, or How to Have Creative Ideas. Well, De Bono has over 50 books, and at least some of you would have read one of his books. Edward de Bono points out the meaning of the word create as bring into being something that was not there before. He adds, so someone can create a mess. That means bringing into existence a mess that did not exist before. Is that person creative? We hasten to add that what has been brought into existence must have value. So, creativity is bringing into existence something that has value. There is, of course, the element of newness because repetition, no matter how valuable, is not seen as creative. So, copying what others have said or done is not creative. Some of us tend to copy and repeat ideas and techniques in our training programs from others considered better than us. Our education and training may be instrumental in making us more knowledgeable. We also tend to adopt shortcuts like seeking solutions from search engines. Ask your young team to fill in the blanks in the following sentence. If there is a will, dash. From our experience, we can tell with certainty that all students would say, if there is a will, there is a way. You may argue that they are correct, as all of us learned it that way in our schools. And you are right. Of course, this is not a creative response, but a repetition from our memory. Now, let us ask them to use their originality or creativity to fill in the blanks again. If you don't get a proper answer, then write down on the whiteboard or clip chart a different and obviously more creative response, like, if there is a will, there will be relatives. You may have to explain them to what a will is. You can create many such examples to make children understand how to think differently.
Part 2. Communicating. What is communication? We are in the business of communication as members of Peace Gong. There are plenty of academic definitions of this word, but there is no single universally accepted definition. Our ability to communicate is innate or natural, and it is one of the most ancient of human activities. As thinking social animals, we interact with others. Communication is the most important survival skill we have. All human activities are communication centered. We speak, express our feelings, interact, learn, do our business, and introspect with communication. All human relations are communication centered. When we send messages or speak or write to someone and the other person understands what we have spoken or written, we have communicated. We speak to ourselves and to others. Beyond speaking and writing, we also use technical devices to send messages. Through communication, we handle information, instruct, direct, monitor, integrate, and promote mutual trust, understanding, cooperation, and conflict resolution. Nonverbal communication. According to communication experts, in a normal communication process, nonverbal communication plays a greater role. Face is considered to be the mirror of our expressions and reflects our emotions, feelings, and moods. Most people put up what we call a brave front by hiding the feelings. In fact, the face has been called a major nonverbal liar. Others can perceive our moods from our facial expressions unless we try to look normal or emotionless. But the eye does not lie. That is why people who want to hide something avoid looking into the eyes of the other person, or say, avoid eye contact. Body movements and postures, referred to us as body language, also reflect our personality or reveal our mental state. For media people, it is important to learn about nonverbal communication. The art of listening. Listening is often taken for granted and not as one of the most important aspects of communication. We ought to realize that hearing is only a physiological aspect of listening, and listening involves more personal involvement and we decode messages consciously. For people in the media, active listening skills are important to create rapport with people, creating knowledge and influence base. During interviews, if we listen attentively, it would help people to experience and express their feelings and open up. It is said that most of us listen with less than 50% accuracy and remember less than 50% of what we hear. Listening skills can improve both understanding and memory and can also improve interpersonal relations. We have been given 2 ears and a single mouth in order that we may hear more and talk less. Zeno of Citium. Mass communication and mass media. The term mass communication was coined during the 1930s. Information is disseminated to large heterogeneous and widely dispersed audiences through technological devices like the press, radio, television, and the internet. Devices like press, radio, film, television, and internet are called mass media. Mass media today are major sources of information, persuasion, and entertainment and influence all human activities. Mass media affect culture, values, traditions, education, politics, economy, and all conceivable spheres. The print medium is a gift of the printing technology developed in the 15th century, and by the 17th century, the modern press created political awareness and advertising. Cinema or movies was developed by the Lumiere brothers turned talkie by 1927. Cinema brought about the cult of stars and provided high emotional involvement. The dawn of the 20th century witnessed the emergence of radio, which reached out to very wide areas with information, education, and entertainment. Television, developed by 1920, facilitated visual displays in homes of news and public affairs as entertainment. Internet is a publicly accessible computer network connecting many smaller networks from around the world. The World Wide Web, released in 1991, has completely revolutionized the way we communicate today. Folk and traditional media. All South Asian countries have rich traditions of folk and traditional media. You can make an inventory of the folk and traditional media. You can use an original or improvised such a traditional media in your programs. They have the fragrance of the good earth. Despite the burgeoning electronic media, we can never ignore our cultural heritage and traditional media. The following text is universally applicable and articulates what our heritage is. This is the world of folk, tribal, and ritual dance in India. A world born no one knows when, a world that found its own roots, moorings, nourishment, growth, flowering, and maturity. A world that has yielded generation after generation of performers. They are everywhere, these performers and dancers, not trained, not professional, dancers not by design, by birthright. By Mohan Khokar in Dancing for Themselves, Himalayan Books. What is journalism? All aspects of journalism and news have been explained with illustration later in this book. Here are some fundamental principles and definitions as a general introduction. As one of the major activities of the Peace Gong is journalism, the coordinator needs to understand what journalism is all about. The Encyclopedia Britannica defines journalism thus: collection, preparation, and distribution of news and related commentary and feature materials through media such as pamphlets, newsletters, newspapers, magazines, radio, film, television, and books. The term was originally applied to the reportage of current events in printed form, especially newspapers, but in the 20th century it came to include electronic media as well. It is sometimes used to refer to writing characterized by a direct presentation of facts or description of events without an attempt at interpretation. With technological advancements, the emergence of the World Wide Web, web journalism, and social media like the Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp have changed the way journalism is practiced today. Journalism includes reporting and editing. It is said that reporting is the foundation of all you do as a journalist. What is news? News is verified information that is relevant to public life. So what is considered news has to be verified, and such information has to be factually correct. The ABCD of journalism. The four fundamental principles which every new entrant into the business of journalism has to bear in mind are the following. First, accuracy. What we write in the Peace Gong or for that matter in any other newspaper has to be accurate. Accuracy is the test every news item has to pass. Whatever we include as a news item has to be factually correct. Facts are sacrosanct for news. It is for us to confirm that correctness of the information we include is checked and verified. Second, brevity. Shakespeare wrote that brevity is the essence of wit. If one is not clear or sure of facts, one tends to use more words than required. If we are sure of our facts, then you will use fewer words or will be brief. It is easier to describe an event or explain a situation using a long piece of writing. For writing with accuracy, you have to be brief. Try and explain something with brevity. Third, clarity. It goes without saying that what we write has to be clear or ought to have the quality of clarity. When we are not sure of what we want to say, we tend to be confused, and that confusion reflects in our writing. Clarity in writing would mean being clear to your readers. When the exact words are used at the right place, the result would be that people understand what you want to convey. Instead, when we are not clear, we use approximate words and hence more words, and the result would be confusion. Fourth, discretion or discernment. One needs to be discreet while writing. Being discreet is to be fair, impartial, non-judgmental, ethical, and working in the interest of the people. There are ethical guidelines issued by the Press Council of India, which is a statutory agency that looks into the complaints and ethical aspects of what is published by the print media. There are issues of discretion when we write about Parliament, the judiciary, and matters concerning national interest and relations between people in a multicultural, multi-religious, multilinguistic, and multi-ethnic country like ours. There are also laws and legislations dealing with gender equality, child rights, etc. Can I write? People generally feel that they are not writers, and that one needs to be a creative person like a poet, playwright, or novelist to write. This myth needs to be exploded, and children should be briefed that they can become reporters with proper training. There are different types of writing as reporters, researchers, writers, and editors. The children have to be reassured that the coordinators will train them to do field studies, report, and write. Firstly, let us explain what the main types of writing which have different styles and approaches for writing. Writing to inform. As is evident from the title, information is the thrust of such writing. There is no need for literary flourishes or use of ornate language. The object is to give information. Writing to describe. Here the main task is to describe something. It may be a reporter describing an event or a place after visiting the location. While describing, a writer can use a few adjectives to give a vivid account. Writing to persuade. Here the writer tries to impress upon the reader to do something or not do something. Such writing may be factual but could be opinionated. Most editorials in newspapers are intended to persuade. Writing to entertain. The language used in writing to entertain is light and is meant to give pleasure to the reader or in certain cases induce laughter or at least a smile. What do I write about? A newspaper, or to be more specified, the Peace Gong, espouse or project issues that form its core value or policy. They are of course child-centered and deal with peace communication for children. The first ever issue of the Peace Gong dealt with food security. Subsequent issues focused on topics like children and health, disability, etc. Or the following 5 themes were suggested by South Asia Initiative to end violence against children while supporting different issues of the Peace Gong. First, child labor. Second, child marriage. Third, corporal punishment. Fourth, child sexual abuse. Fifth, child trafficking. Our child reporters have already done field research, reality checks, interview with major stakeholders, and stories. In the media world, every item that is printed is referred to as a story. They are factual accounts about people, places, and happenings related to the topics being handled and are not fictional stories found in literature. The children have been trained by our coordinators to write, and they have been published in the different issues of the Peace Gong. Here is an example of a story on child labor by our child reporters in Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh, published in the February 2015 issue of the Peace Gong. Media literacy defined. Media literacy can be defined as the capacity to access, analyze, and evaluate the power of the images, sounds, and messages with which we are faced every day and which play an important role in contemporary culture. It includes the individual capacity to communicate using the media competently. Media literacy concerns all media including television, film, radio, and recorded music, the press, the internet, any other digital communication technology, alternative, and traditional media. The purpose of media literacy is to raise the level of awareness of the different guises taken on by the messages transmitted by the media that we find in our lives every day. This must help citizens to recognize how media filter their perceptions and convictions, mold popular culture, and influence personal decisions. It should provide citizens with the capacity for critical analysis as well as creative problem-solving capacities, turning them into aware productive consumers of information themselves. Media education is part of the fundamental rights of each citizen in every country in the world. Just like the freedom of expression and the right to information, and it is crucial to the attainment and consolidation of democracy. Today, media literacy is one of the key prerequisites for the exercise of full active citizenship, and it is one of the spheres inside which intercultural dialogue should be promoted. By Perry Tornero, J.M. 2004, Promoting Digital Literacy, Final Report. Dreams. What dreams? I don't have the right to dream. I will have to spend my life living on roads and working in dhabas. A 13-year-old girl working in a roadside dhaba eatery interviewed by the Peace Gong Aligarh Bureau Aisha Ehsan, Zaman Ghori and Soma Afreen, all class 12th. There can be no dreams for girls like Farzana. Name changed. She is forced to accept her destiny that she can never get what she wants. She doesn't recall where she came from, so she lives alongside the roads and wherever she can find shelter. Farzana was one of the many children the Peace Gong Aligarh Bureau team interviewed as part of a reality check on child labor in Aligarh. The problem of child labor is not just in Aligarh but in the entire country. The number of working children age group 5 to 14 years is 43.53 lakh as per the 2011 census, while the previous census of 2001 recorded that there were 1.26 crore working children age group 5 to 14 amongst the 25.2 crore children in India. The very fact that children are being made to work violates our Constitution's fundamental right to education, right to childhood, and equal opportunity to participate as equal citizens of the country. During our reality check, the team found only one of the 5 children engaged as child labor was getting paid. Moreover, these children were being forced to work in exploitative conditions and subjected to various forms of cruelty and violence. For instance, the team found a small boy not more than 10-11 years of age working in a tea stall. It was clear that he had been beaten by the owner of the stall. When asked where his parents were and why he was working, the boy said he did not have any knowledge about his parents and that he was living with the owner of the stall ever since he came to his senses. "He treats me like the way he likes," was the boy's candid comment. The team met another boy at another roadside tea stall, also of similar age and living in the same pathetic condition. "How I wish I could go to school like all of you and live a normal life," he said when asked about his desires. One of the shocking facts discovered by the Peace Gong team was the educational institutions' canteens employ a large number of child laborers. Isn't it an irony that so many children are working in canteens of schools and colleges when they should have been studying in these institutions? Asked Asif Khan, a research scholar in the social work department of Aligarh Muslim University. The team also found poverty and lack of social security are the most important causes of child labor. Ayaz Ahmed, another research scholar, observed that deprived of education, the world of opportunities and rights are forever enclosed for these children, and that collective effort of the society is very important to ensure that the end of child labor menace. We have to work hard to educate these children so that they become productive citizens of the country, he added. Elizabeth Lawrence, an American scholar, has said, "There is a garden in every childhood, an enchanted place where colors are brighter, the air softer, and the morning more fragrant than ever again." But for the children that the Peace Gong team spoke to, there is no garden in their childhood. In the light of the reality check findings, the Peace Gong Aligarh Bureau plans to work with these children and initiate literacy programs so that they are exposed to some kind of education.
Part 3: Media Literacy. We start this part with insights on the significance of media literacy education by 2 past Peace Gong editors and the present editor. We consider it relevant to give these perspectives of children who have understood the importance of media literacy education. Saida Romana Mehdi, former associate editor. Today's generation is much more sensitive. The more the exposure, the more they are focused to think and react. So young people who acquire communication and media literacy skills are in position to use these effectively and contribute to the culture of peace and nonviolence in a greater way. Media literate students can understand conflicts and their underlying causes better. When students read articles, research, and are able to skillfully use different forms of communication, they discover a whole new range of ideas and experiences. There are many ways in which the young reporter can contribute to promoting dialogue among people from diverse communities and cultures. By developing capacities to use different forms of media, especially the new media, we connect with other youth in different parts of the world and initiate a dialogue. Ramshina, former editor. The key objectives and orientation that I would like to have in the media literacy curriculum are the following. First, make sure that young reporters have more active role in the organization than mere reporting. They should also be active volunteers working in the community. Second, include teachings of peace and non-violence in the curriculum. Third, media literate students should have a greater focus in life rather than simply trying to get a job. Fourth, ensure that values are shared and the learning atmosphere should have opportunities for students to develop their inborn worth. Fifth, students should leave the four walls of their classrooms and learn about life from the ordinary people. Sixth, the voice of the marginalized should be heard in the media literacy sessions, and they should also be included as resource persons. Seventh, try to get all schools in our area to start a newspaper like our own, the Peace Gong. Kanupriya Gupta, Class 10th, Editor, The Peace Gong. A large number of conflicts and ill feelings in the world are a result of miscommunication. Many are the result of media frenzy and misinterpretation of facts. There are others which are fueled by media violence and the zeal of our media channels to score over others. Media today is all pervasive. It has entered into our bedrooms and there is no escape from it. In such a scenario, developing a greater understanding and insight into how the media functions is extremely important for we young people. We children realize that we have to hold our pen high and ideals higher to end the turmoil and promote non-violence that makes this world a better place. Understanding the MIL process with the team of young reporters. We have so far tried to understand how a coordinator and mentor like Satarupa can be a good trainer, how she can develop a training program, the methodology she could follow, and how she can promote creative thinking abilities amongst her new team members. Now in this part, we along with our team of young reporters start our journey to develop communication skills, understand the media, and use it for the causes we are trying to work for. MIL Concept 1, Communication Skills. Here is an example of a participatory session conducted by the trainer Satarupa. Our young reporters team has a serious local problem at hand. They have the information that part of their local forest is being cleared for a multiplex. They are shocked. Not only the flora in the area would be destroyed, but large number of birds and other small animals would also be devoid of their natural habitat. A few communities lived in the vicinity and they all were said to be uprooted. What should they do? The session is to remind children that they too can be leaders by bringing together all concerned to persuade the authorities to stop the mindless violence of cutting down the trees in the forest. After all, they are the caretakers and trustees of the planet Earth. So what are the skills of the children could develop to initiate a non-violent effort to save their local forest? They need to communicate. To communicate effectively, they need to develop communication skills. Developing communication skills. As an introduction to this session, Satarupa quotes from the preamble to the Constitution of UNESCO. Since war begins in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that defenses of peace must be constructed. Satarupa then explains to her team the meaning of the quotation and the importance of how people can be influenced to think and work for peace. What was one way in which the minds of men could be influenced to construct the defenses of peace? She explained how effective communication could influence the minds of men. For this, the children would need good and efficient communication skills. Satirupa, how can we raise our voice of concern on the flattening of our local forest? The children were quick to react. Krishnanti, we should be able to explain clearly what we want to say to the people and authorities concerned. Jurismitha, we would have all the facts with us to be able to explain. Uzma, we need to reach out to the heart and minds of others. Satarupa, yes, you all are correct. First of all, let us understand more about communication and how best we can express ourselves. All children, yes, we should. Satarupa, we need to understand what communication is. In simple terms, communication can be described as social media interaction through messages. Communication is also the act of transferring information from one or more persons to others or from one place to another. Communication requires a sender, a message, a medium, and a receiver. The process of communication is completed when the receiver receives and understands the message of the sender. Since times immemorial, human beings have used different types of communication to reach out to others. These include symbols, language, and visuals. Sharing. So, our effort to stop the violence that would destroy our forest area should include symbols, language, and visuals? Satarupa. Yes, and communication cannot happen in a vacuum. It has to be through a medium, means, or instruments. The primary medium is the body, and we have 5 senses to communicate. Here is a specific activity. Activity for participants. Satarupa. Imagine a situation. You are marooned in a pristine island. It is beautiful. But there is a catch. There is none else on the island. You are completely alone. You cannot interact with anyone. Get together in a group in your training session. List out the problems you might face in such a situation where you cannot communicate. Can you think of any moment when you were not communicating? Share it with your friends. Jurismita, could you please tell us how exactly is this done? Satarupa, okay, let me explain how to do this activity. Here are the steps. First, let us see simulation exercises. Let me ask one child to enact as if she or he is marooned in the island and there is no one to communicate. Second, use the board to list out the responses of the student. C. Ask another child to enact the same situation. Fourth, discuss similarities or differences in the approach. Fifth, can you or your team members think of such a situation in everyday life where you cannot communicate? How will an individual cope with this situation? Reflect upon it. The children get busy with the activity. Satarupa, have you completed the activity? Let's look at what you have done and then we will go for another activity. Usma and Jurismita try to simulate their experience of being marooned. Satarupa, did you enjoy the activity? It is said that a man is a social animal and we cannot survive without interacting or communicating with others. Let's try another one. Think about various communication activities you were involved in yesterday. Make a list of reasons that prompted you to communicate. Did you require direct or indirect participation of others to achieve your purpose of communication? Before we proceed further, let us understand the different types of communication. Satarupa. There are several instances when you and I talk to ourselves. We may be happy or angry. We may be concerned about a particular issue or we may be elated over something. There, we are not sharing our feelings with others but with ourselves. This is called intrapersonal communication. Lazarus and Gurminder are talking to each other and discussing how the birds and all other life forms would be affected when our forest is gone. This is called interpersonal communication or face-to-face communication. Jurismita, what type of communication is presently taking place in this classroom or in much bigger classrooms or at a small function in our street? Satarupa, that's a very good question. Right now, our whole team is discussing and learning skills on how we can raise our voice against the destruction of our forests. All of you are taking part in it. Here, a large group is involved. This is called group communication. This type of communication is involved in groups or in organizational setups. It could be within groups or between groups. There is also public communication, where a large number of people listen to one or more persons speak. In all these cases, you find out reactions of people in the group or in a larger audience. The speaker may see everyone in front of him and not everyone in the group. Lazarus. We hear a lot about mass communication. How is it different from group communication? Satarupa. Yes, we have communication involving large mass or innumerable number of people. The communicator in this case is unable to see his audience. Although our efforts, we may be able to use our local television channels, radio stations, newspapers, or magazines. Then we will be able to reach out to a large number of people in our city and outside. This is called mass communication. It is the media of communication used for the purpose of taking messages to a large number of people spread over large distances at approximately the same time. Verbal and non-verbal communication. In a communication process, when no words are used to convey the message, it is called non-verbal communication. This could include body language, gestures, facial expressions, etc. Verbal communication includes spoken or written words, visuals and pictorial languages. Good verbal communication encompasses proper use of non-verbal communication and listening skills. One-way communications and its pitfalls. Satarupa. So friends, it is not enough we make some messages and send it to our peers or seniors. Recollect a classroom session where the teacher goes on explaining and you have no space to share or ask questions. You get bored and may not even understand what he is trying to explain. Uzma. Yes, many times this happens. No one's ever asked us whether we understood or not. Lazarus. And the subject remains a mystery and we are forced to memorize, put together some notes on the subject. Satarupa. So getting feedback from others is very important. We may go to our friends or seniors and explain the ill effects of destroying our forest areas. But if we do not get their feedback or wait for their response, we will end up doing nothing. This brings us to an important element of communication. If our team does not ensure feedback of what we are saying or want to say, it will be an example of one-way communication. Let us play a game. It is called the communication relay game. It is the old game of Chinese whispers. Uzma. That sounds interesting. Guruminder. Please tell us, how do we do this? Satrupa. Okay, all of you can participate in this game. Let me begin with whispering to you, Gurminder, as you're sitting next to me. You whisper what I told you to Uzma. Uzma then whispers that message to Lazarus and passing off the message continues till it reaches the last member in the group. Now let's ask Jurismita what the message is. Yes. Tell us, Jurismita, what was told to you? Jurismita. Let me try. I bazaar shop to buy sugar tea. Satarupa. Fine. To save time, let me tell you what I told Gurminder. I whispered in her ear, I went to the central market in the town to buy a kilo of sugar, 1 packet of tea, a dozen of eggs, 1 packet of noodles, and a bunch of bananas. You have seen how Jurismita fumbled in the end. Also, many of you in the chain would have missed many items or words from my list. See how the message has been distorted. What is the outcome of this game? What have you learned? Krishanti. We need to listen to the messages attentively. Satarupa. That's a good observation. All of you can now write down 3 points each on what lessons you learned from the game. We shall discuss your reactions in the next sessions. We often find that what someone tells you or to others is not followed or understood by others. This is one-way communication, and we will never come to know if the message we are trying to send to others is effective or not. We will never get feedback from the receiver of the message. So what should we do to be successful on our objective of creating opinion against the cutting of our forest? We should ensure that we get feedback from all those we are trying to reach out. Two-way communication. In two-way communication, there is always feedback from the receiver of the message sent by the sender. The to and fro communication ensures meaningful discussions and interactions. Satrupa. Today we will discuss how we can improve our communication skills. Recognizing the need to develop effective communication skills is important for proper implementation of our plan of action. In this case, raise our effort to stop the cutting down of trees in our forests to build a multiplex. Krishanti. But how can we improve our communication skills? Uzma. Yes, it is so important that we improve our communication skills so that our team can reach out to the maximum number of friends and others. Satrupa. Okay, let's discuss and jot down some elements which we must keep in mind so that we can improve our communication skills. I'm going to give you a few handouts on ways and means to improve communication skills. Distributes the handouts. Handout on points to remember about communication skills. First, become sincerely interested in the other person. We young people should learn to promote mutual respect. Try to listen well. Check your own understanding of what the other person said. Listening to all with rapt attention will help us shape our ideas in a better way. Third, show some respect for other people's opinions. Fourth, begin in a friendly way. For us, non-violence is the key. If we are meeting the authorities who are behind the efforts to clear the forest, even then we should show respect and not be hostile to them. Fifth, our aim is to become friends with all those who may be opposing our views. Sixth, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Seventh, try honestly to see things for other person's point of view. Eighth, use appropriate words and ensure that you do not say anything offensive. Ninth, speak clearly. 10th, encourage questions. 11th, know exactly what you want to communicate. 12th, be sympathetic to the other person's ideas and views. 12th, appeal to the noble motives. 13th, dramatize your ideas. 14th, be a good observer and always be alert. Satarupa. But friends, there are always situations which would be a barrier to reaching out to the other person effectively. Here are some such situations. First, different assumptions. Each one of us may have opposite or diverse assumptions about the issue. Second, different point of view. Each one of us may have different viewpoints on a single subject, and these would clash with other views. Third, emotions. We react on many issues purely on the basis of our emotions. This can be a barrier to effective communication. Fourth, misunderstanding of language. Many times we want to say something, but the other person understands it in a different way. This promotes misunderstanding. Fifth, use of difficult words. We should try to use crisp and simple words while communicating. Sixth, lack of attention. Here, the importance of listening to others comes once again. Not listening to others with attention is a barrier. Seventh, poor clarity of speech. Eighth, prejudices. For instance, we go tomorrow to an authority expressing our opposition of the clearing of the forest. In all probability, we'll go with the prejudice that the concerned officer loves violence and may not even listen to us. Ninth, conflicting body language. 10th, lack of trust. 11th, too much information. We might go with too many facts and information which could confuse the others. Traits of a good communicator. Sharing. So how can we all become good communicators? Gurminder. Yes, not only now but in all our efforts we should be able to communicate effectively. Satarupa. Here is a handout which gives the major guidelines for a communicator. Distribute the handouts. First, good communicators always pay attention to everything the other person is saying or trying to say. Second, good communicators constantly think about the way they would like to take their message to others. They always think about when, where, and how they'll deliver their messages. Third, Good communicators always try to find the right combination of words, body language, dress, and tone of voice before speaking. Fourth, good communicators try to avoid using the same words when sending their message to different persons because no one person is identical. Good communicators try to find out what is important for the other person. Fifth, good communicators are always ready to be flexible or try to move on after delivering their message by reaching a decision, solving a problem, negotiating a compromise, etc. Sixth, good communicators are fully aware of the reciprocal nature of communication, which is the process of giving and receiving a message. The whole team discusses the points shared by the mentor. Satarupa asks them to develop small role plays to understand better the finer points of good communication. She then explains the activities. Activities for participants. First, there are several cases of child marriage in our area. Develop a role play on how you can communicate against the practice of child marriages. Second, you find that your neighborhood restaurant has hired a child like you. How will you influence the owner that child labor is illegal and the child should go to school? Third, you go to a village where you find cases of child marriage. You and your team try to explain the ill effects of child marriage, but the adults are hostile to your ideas. Brainstorm on how to respond to such difficult situations non-violently. Children, these are all our very interesting activities. Please give us a few days. We will do all of them. Satarupa, good. We shall meet next Saturday. Non-violent communication. Satarupa, the central aim of developing our communication skills is to promote non-violent communication. The goal of non-violent communication is to build and maintain human relationships. We have to recognize the importance of others, value humanity, and appreciate the importance of human relationships. Our training should ensure non-violent speech and action, maintenance of relationships, openness and flexibility, and become active listeners. Krishanti, yes, we realize the importance of non-violence in all our approaches and communication. We are keen to know in detail the salient features of non-violent communication. Satarupa, so children, let us understand how we can practice non-violent communication in our daily lives. Here is another handout. Handout on non-violent communication. First, we should learn to introspect. Before arguing with others, we should learn to be patient and reflect within ourselves. Second, we should try to take responsibility of our action, words, and feelings and not blame others for these. Third, even in situations of personal criticisms, we should avoid being aggressive. Fourth, we should learn to communicate with others with respect. Encouraging mutual respect is important for nonviolent communication. Fifth, we should be conscious of the power of empathy. By empathizing with others, we can touch their humanness. Sixth, conscious attempt need to be made to connect with the feelings, perspectives, and needs of others. Seventh, we can try to diffuse a stressful or conflict situation when we can empathize with others. Eighth, our aim should be to connect with others in such a way that makes them realize that you really care for them. Ninth, being flexible is important in order to practice nonviolent communication. George Bernard Shaw had rightly said, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. We should be ready to listen to others' views and be flexible to adopt different options in life. 10th, we must practice to express gratitude to whatever we have and whatever anyone does for you. 11th, senior Gandhian Mr. Natwar Thakkar says the communication praxis should encompass not only deep understanding of each other's culture and tradition, but also do the work of emotional bridge building, thereby connecting people of diverse cultures. Mr. Thakkar observes that unless pluralism and mutual respect becomes central to one's communicative abilities, one cannot reach out to diverse communities. These opinions have to be part of any communication messages, be it person to person, the mass media, or the social media. We have to keep in mind the diversity of our communities and respect pluralism. Our communication efforts should do the work of emotional bridge building. 12. Mahatma Gandhi's communication approach gives us important lessons for nonviolent communication. From start to finish, the underlying principle of Gandhian engagement with an opponent in a conflict situation is to keep the channels open, to avoid intimidation, and to remove all obstacles to dialogues. Activity for participants. First, for our self-development and our stand for the right cause, it is important that we practice nonviolent communication. Recollect and list a few actions and speeches of yours which could be seen as violent. Discuss these with your peers. Next, as a collective exercise, jot down in what way you could have responded to the situation so that others would not have been offended. Think of a conflict situation between two parties. How can you resolve it through nonviolent communication? MIL Concept 2. A good discussion. Sharing. We have to bring other people in our effort to save our local forest. Jurismita. So then, we must go to our school, our neighboring college, and other groups. Satarupa. For this, friends, we must know how to initiate and organize good discussions. Characteristics of a good discussion. Satarupa. Our teams need to initiate dialogues and discussions with different groups of people to explain our position. We are all students and our priorities are studies. We cannot waste time in gossips. So any discussion we organize should be a meaningful experience for all. Here is another handout which comprise some key points which we must keep in mind. Handout on a good discussion. Everyone participates. Our team might have done thorough homework as we are trying to build opinion against the clearing of the forest. Children in our neighboring school may not have much idea of the issue. The danger is that our team members could end up doing all the tasks. This is wrong. We have to ensure everyone takes part in the discussion. Everyone shares their experiences. We have to let all the participants in the discussion to share their experiences. There is an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect for each other's views. No one dominates. There is no competition of speaking. There is no criticism or judging. Participants learn from each other. The discussion stays on the topic. Discussion has a conclusion, summary, and a follow-up plan. The discussion is enjoyable. Nikita. So when we are trying to organize a discussion, what are the things that we should keep in mind? Satarupa. For example, Nikita, you are facilitating the discussion. You must keep in mind the following points which I have in this PowerPoint presentation. Look at the screen. First, develop relationships. We have to help the participants to know each other. There should be proper introduction of each one of the participants before we start the discussion. Second, encourage all to share their experiences and ideas. Through this, we will ensure the participation of all. Third, do your homework and be ready with a variety of questions to have interaction among participants. Asking different people a variety of open-ended questions will lead to more discussion. Fourth, seek answer to the questions or comment on the ideas of other participants. Activity for participants. A. There is a large number of cases of child labor in our area. Organize a group discussion with your team members and others on how to stop it and send these children back to school. Second, organize discussions on nonviolent attitudes and behavior amongst the participants. List them. Discuss what the group feels about violent attitudes and behavior. Let there be a reflection on the importance of living in peace. Third, reflect as a group on the impact of violent behavior and attitudes of the society. Fourth, reflect on what you can do to be nonviolent even if someone is bad with you. Fifth, reflect how you can adopt peaceful attitudes in your daily life. Sixth, as a group effort, develop posters on nonviolent behavior attitudes and behavior. Publicize these in the community and initiate dialogue amongst your peers. Seventh, collect stories or poems on nonviolent attitudes and behavior. Use them during the dialogue in the community. MIL Concept 3, Developing Listening Skills. What do you think is the difference between hearing and listening? We may hear and forget. Listening is more active. We hear, listen to evaluate, or listen for entertainment. Let us understand from Satarupa the essence of listening. Satarupa. To be good communicators, it is important for us to develop listening skills. This will enable us to know each other better, help resolve conflict situations, and help initiate dialogues on different issues. To be a better and an effective communicator, we must learn the art of listening and respect the views of others. Listening is an important ingredient of developing human relationships. Most of us do not have the patience to listen to others. So, let us start practicing the art of listening. Then write down experiences on how you benefited by patiently listening to others' views. When we visit our community, you all should try to listen to the people carefully. After coming back, try to analyze how you gained by listening instead of pushing your own views. Also, then we can have some discussions on how we can resolve conflicts by being a better listener. Activity for participants. A. Write down experiences on how you benefited by patiently listening to others' views. B. Organize a visit to a group of children in a community and try to find out their problems. Listen to the people carefully. After coming back, try to analyze the benefits of listening. C. Discuss how you can improve your listening skills. D. Discuss how you can resolve conflicts by being a better listener. MIL Concept 5 Conducting Reality Checks. Conducting reality checks. Satarupa. For developing an effective plan of action to create awareness on the severe damage on environment and all living beings in and around the local forest, we need to understand the reality. We must understand precisely how the removal of the forest would impact the local flora and fauna and communities living around it. We must have proper knowledge about the realities on the ground to educate the people. Otherwise, we cannot motivate them to join the cause, which in fact is everyone's. Sharing. But how do we understand the ground realities? Satarupa. For that, we have to learn how a reality check is actually done. Nikita. That sounds interesting. Krishanti. Please tell us how to conduct a reality check study. Satarupa. Reality checks help us to understand the situation. It will help us to develop knowledge about the issue. We will be able to get back basic information on how different dimensions of the issue work. Through reality check, we can gather information and know how to use that information to make people in the community to join us and to resist the move to cut down forests. For reality check, we need to do research in the field. So how do we start this reality check? We have to remember that a reality check study will be done using the following methods. First, interview method. Second, observation. Before we go into details of how to conduct a reality check, let me give you a few copies of an example of such a study done by a group of children in Assam. Let us go through it. Can one of you read it aloud while others can follow the text? Accidentally, this was published in the December 2013 issue of the Peace Gong. Uzma, let me read. Satrupa, yes Uzma, please read. Uzma reads, depriving children of basic facilities should be considered as serious violence against them. In a reality check conducted by the students of Surovi Shishu Panchayat and Aksom Vidya Mandir on November 17, 2013, the team found dismal conditions of children in Rajabari village that comes under the Pankheti Gaon Panchayat of Chandrapur Development Block of Kanrup Metro District, Assam. The reality check conducted in the village and nearby communities found large number of Anna and Anjuma, common reference of boy and girls in the area, who are living with no education, no safe drinking water, no medical and health facilities and recreation facilities. None of the children had any idea of free education that the government provides and which could benefit them. The reality check was conducted by 85 students along with teachers and mentors. Illiteracy is the norm amongst the adult population, and most of the people the children's team talked to were not inclined to send their children to school. Instead, the children were asked to help the elders in the agricultural fields where they work as workers. The backwardness of the adult population in the riverine area meant their children continued to suffer deprivation. The team members asked the children in the Rajabari village about their school, class and if they ever went to school. They almost answered no. They knew about mobiles and television, but they did not know about the Asha, health worker lady who sometimes visited them. Besides, they just knew about the weekly market that is there twice in a week. The children in these villages are simply expected to help the elders by packaging vegetables and food grains to sell and earn. The reality check made the team realize that both the children and elders in the area were not aware of even their basic rights. The team tried to talk a little bit about their rights, something they learnt as part of being members of the Surovi Shishu Panchayat, but none of the children were interested in listening to them. The reality check study revealed that the children of Rajabari village and adjoining areas were suffering from the worst form of violence. They are losing their childhood and their deprivations would continue when they become adults. They don't know what their rights look like. On behalf of the Anna and Anjuma of the area, the reality check team would like to raise the following questions. First, where is our right to education? Second, where are the helping hands and agencies working? Third, where are the funds going that were allotted nearly for needy children like us? Fourth, are the children like Anna and Anjuma eligible to get access to the rights defined by UNCRC? Fifth, who are actually responsible for the present condition of the Annas and Anjumas who have no dreams to look forward to? The above reality check was originally written in Assamese by the children and has been translated into English by adult coordinators. Satarupa, I'm sure you have enjoyed that reading. If we carefully analyze the reality check study done by the children, we realize that they have done the following. First, the students actually went to the Rajabari village to find out the condition of the children of the village. They must have done their homework on the location of the village, the issues and concerns. The study was focused. The children studied whether the basic facilities like safe drinking water, basic education, basic health facilities were available for the children of the village. The children inquired about the rights of the children of the village and how they were losing their childhood. Fourth, the study team interviewed the local villagers, children and youth keeping in mind the focus of their study. The homework done by the children helped them to develop simple questions. Fifth, the study helped the children of the study team to raise questions on the deprivations and rights of the children of the village. Satarupa. So friends, after going through the above example, let us develop our own plan for a reality check about the destruction of our local forest. Jurismita. So how do we go about this? Satarupa. We need information on various basic facts. We have to do basic research on the following. Location of the forest, area it covers, the flora and fauna existing in the forest, some information about the community living around the forest, why the authorities want to clear the forest, the total forest area cover in the city. Then let us develop a simple questionnaire for interviewing the communities living within the forest, some authorities, opinion makers like teachers, media persons, etc. Lazarus. I'm excited. We have never done anything like this. Satarupa. Great. Let's first try the interview method. Jurismita. I've heard interviews on radio, but this may be different. Satarupa. Not exactly. An interview can be defined as a conversation with a purpose between two or more persons. The interviewer asks questions and the interviewee answers those questions. Here are some points that we would expect the interviewer to keep in mind while conducting the interviews. Look at the screen. PowerPoint presentation on interviews. 1. Research and prepare your questions clearly. Make sure the questions are not misunderstood. Second, be polite. Third, build a rapport with the person being interviewed. This can be done by doing a pre-chat with the person. Fourth, keep questions short and to the point. Fifth, do state clearly what the purpose of the interview is. Sixth, give people time to think. Seventh, you learn more by listening than by talking yourself. Eighth, be cautious. While getting the answers, don't let the person you are interviewing stay away from the subject. Ninth, watch for answers that appear vague and probe for more information. 10th, listen to the answers. Make the interviewee feel comfortable and always keep an open mind. 11th, be precise. Try to record the exact words of the interview as far as possible. Uzma, do we have to write down what answers people give? Satarupa, yes. You should always keep a notebook and pens with you during field study. Lazarus, can I also record it in my mobile phone? Satarupa, that's a good idea, but you should get their permission for recording. Of course, you can get the exact quotes from people. Lazarus, thanks. Satarupa, let me add. Interviews with a cross section of the community help us in understanding the reality. Such interviews can also throw light on their varying viewpoints. Uzma, what is a cross section? Satarupa, a cross section is a representative sample of people of different educational, economic, or social status. Now let's discuss the observation method. Observation method. It is to conduct a good reality check study. We must develop good skills of observation. We should be enthusiastic to learn and be alert in the settings where what we are doing, the reality check. Like the experience and example of the students of Sorobi Shishu Panchayat, we have to go to the field to do our reality check. So our team must not only meet the communities around the forest, the authorities and other opinion makers. A trekking experience program needs to be organized in the forest. It will help our team to have first-hand experience of the rich flora and fauna of the area and how these are contributing to the green cover near our city. Also, we must be able to use our skills of observation to understand the community and cultural context of the area.
Regaining Lost Childhood. Kaveri Burman, Class 7, Samiran Kalita, Class 7th, Mumtaz Begum, Class 9th, Safiqul Ali, Class 7th, Pradip Beshya, Class 8th, Guwahati. Children of Rajbari are left in darkness without any form of basic education. Not only this, the elders are also not aware of the basic rights, which mars their development, finds out students of Exom Vidya Mandir and Surovi Shishu Panchayat in Assam in the reality check study. Depriving children of basic facilities should be considered as serious violence against them. In a reality check conducted by the students of Sarovi Shishu Panchayat and Exom Vidya Mandir on November 17, 2013, the team found dismal conditions of children in Rajbari village that comes under Pankheti Gaon Panchayat of Chandrapur Development Block of Kamrup Metro District, Assam. The reality check conducted in the village and nearby communities found large number of Anna and Anjuma, common reference of boys and girls in the area, who are living with no education, no safe drinking water, no medical and health facilities and recreation facilities. None of the children had any idea of free education services that the government provides and which could benefit them. The reality check was conducted by 85 students along with teachers and mentors. Illiteracy is the norm amongst the adult population, and most of the people the children's team talked to were not inclined to send their children to school. Instead, the children are asked to help the elders in the agricultural fields where they work as workers. The backwardness of the adult population in the riverine area meant their children continued to suffer deprivation. The team members asked the children in the Rajbari village about their school, class, and if they ever went to school. The almost universal answer was no. They knew about mobiles and television, but they did not know about the Asha health worker lady who sometimes visited them. Besides, they just knew about the weekly market that is there twice in a week. The children in these villages are simply expected to help the elders by packaging vegetables and food grains to sell and earn. The reality check made the team realize that both the children and the elders in the area were not aware of even their basic rights. The team tried to talk a little bit about their rights, something they learnt as part of being members of the Surovi Shishu Panchayat, but none of the children were interested in listening to them. The reality check study revealed that the children of Rajbari village and adjoining areas were suffering from the worst form of violence. They are losing their childhood and their deprivations would continue when they become adults. They don't know what their rights look like. On behalf of the Anna and Anjuma of the area, the reality check team would like to raise the following questions. Number 1. Where is our right to education? Number 2. Where are the helping hands and agencies working? Number 3. Where are the funds going that are allotted for needy children like us? Number 4. Are the children like Anna and Anjuma eligible to get access to the rights defined by UNCRC? Number 5. Who are actually responsible for the present condition of the Annas and Anjumas who have no dreams to look forward to? The article was originally written in Assamese by the children, which was translated in English by adult coordinators. In this story, let us see the 5 W's and 1 H. Who? Children of Rajbari village, Kamrup Metro District, Assam. What? Revelation on the dismal condition of the children in the village by the reality check conducted by the children's team. When? During the reality check conducted in Rajbari village. Where? In Rajbari village that comes under Pankheti Gaon Panchayat of Chandrapur Development Block of Kamrup Metro District, Assam. Why? The dismal condition of the children are due to lack of any facilities for the children in the area. How? Illiteracy amongst the population and lost childhood. Satrupa. So friends, keep in mind the above points while putting your stories for our newspaper. Remember, you have to get people to read your story. If it is flat and without any relevant information, no one will take you seriously. News, features, editorial, op-ed page articles. In this section, our team of young reporters goes further to understand the basics of news, features, editorial, and op-ed page articles. It is important to clarify on these topics before the team embarks upon their efforts to develop their newspaper. Satrupa. Look at two different situations. A. The government's public works department has started cutting more than 1,000 trees to develop a road in the city on way to the airport. A group of environmentalists are planning a protest saying an alternative route which runs through barren land can be explored. By this they can save the trees. The second situation is how a group of tribal in the hills are using their indigenous knowledge system to prevent soil erosion and contributing to afforestation programs. In the first instance, we are dealing with hard news. The government has started cutting more than 1,000 trees to build a road to ensure faster approach to the airport, while environmentalists are protesting saying there can be an alternate route, though longer. As discussed above, this is hard news, immediacy in nature and ongoing. A news story is written in the inverted pyramid style as discussed above. It is fresh and current. On the other hand, feature stories like news though contain facts and information may not be current and immediacy in nature. Feature stories like news though contain facts and information may not be current and immediacy in nature. It tries to cover different dimensions of the issue being taken up, is in-depth, and contains interviews of different stakeholders. It tries to analyze the issue, raises pertinent questions, and seeks answers to these. So we will have a news story in scenario A and a feature story in scenario B. Another important feature of our newspaper is the editorial. It is our newspaper's opinion on an issue. It is an opinionated piece underlying our philosophy. It often falls in the category of writing to persuade. The Peace Gong editorials have always been written by our child editors. Mostly, an editorial will be A. An objective analysis and explanation of the issue being taken up. B. A news angle which the newspaper thinks is critical. C. The views and opinions of the writer is written with clarity and professionally. D. Good editorials try to engage the reader on the issue on which it is written. E. Search for solutions from the problem being taken up. An insightful editorial will try to give constructive opinions of the issues that have been taken up and delve on practical solutions. F. Preferably, it should have a concise conclusion summarizing effectively the writer's opinion. Here is a sample of an editorial written by Sayyida Rumana Mehdi.
Setting higher standards. They murder us. They kill us. They rape us. They abuse us. They do everything to wipe us out. Yet we stand. We are like nails. Each blow makes us stronger. We are fortunate to have what they don't have, the path to information and knowledge. This editorial is dedicated to all those words written for peace, to all those hearts that stopped beating due to bullets, to all those widows whose lives lost color because of violence, to all those child soldiers who never saw the beauty of life, and to the lost forests, water bodies, biodiversity, language, in short, the environment that bears the brunt of our raging battles. My heart fills with pride as I write this editorial. The Peace Gong has come a long way. It has been a pioneer in promoting peace in South Asia, and after joining hands with South Asia Initiative to End Violence Against Children, we have surely gained more strength. The might of the pen, we believe, will bring in social change. This pen is our shield against violence, and that's our advantage. The voice of justice cannot be silenced. They shot Malala Yousafzai in the head, but failed to silence her. This also revolutionized the people and has brought India and Pakistan much closer, with Malala sharing this year's Nobel Prize for Peace with Kailash Satyarthi, the two child rights activists. Our focus on education is stronger than ever, and with such inspiring example, we believe we can do much more. This year's Peace Nobel is not for Hindus, Muslims, Jews, or Christians. It is for us, humans striving for our rights to live the life we deserve. The world can become a better place if we stop making our environment suffer. Every time a sapling dies or the soil becomes barren, we have killed new life. Not only do we stand guilty of murdering humans, but also of killing plants. We fight to acquire more land and more resources, yet we forget that need to take care of our earth that holds these precious resources. Revolution starts with me. It starts with a sparkling thought that can set ablaze millions of minds. We set off alone and then meet others, and a caravan is formed. The pen in our hand is not just to sign our fate, but to dedicate our lives to education and peace. Always remember, the night is darkest before the dawn. Soon enough, the light of knowledge will spread. So, here's to our impending victory, to the Peace Gong's achievements, to a new life. Editorial meetings. Before embarking upon the exercise to develop further understanding of the components of our newspaper, we should try to understand how our team of young reporters go about putting together ideas on what to write and how to write. Satrup. So friends, we should get together and plan our editorial contents. This will be our editorial meeting. For our editorial meeting, all our team members will come together to discuss and plan the contents for the issue. Who are the people to be interviewed? What should be our thematic thrust area? The positioning of our opinions in our editorial, illustrations, photographs, etc. Krishanti is our editor, so she will coordinate the editorial meeting. What are the important points she should keep in mind while convening the meeting? She has to be clear on the outcomes of the meeting, ensure that it is a participatory process and everyone contributes. A proper planning with complete clarity is needed to make editorial meeting a meaningful exercise. A team of young reporters should be motivated to do some homework before coming to the editorial meeting so that this could become an effective group learning experience. Here are some points the team and the editor should try to follow. Look at the screen. PowerPoint on editorials. A. Discussion on the stories that the young reporters are going to take up for the issue. B. Ideas, contents, the field visits to be undertaken, managing the reality check exercise and interviews to be conducted. C. Refine the content ideas once some consensus is reached on the stories to put together. D. Who will do that? It is important. Though everything in our children's newspaper is a team effort, but we should give some primary responsibility to individuals. E. Who will take care of the illustrations and photographs? F. What should be orientation of our editorial? G. What should be our deadline? We must ensure that we stick to our deadline, otherwise we will never be able to put our newspaper together. H. What kind of help we need from our mentors like Satrup?
MIL Concept 7 Content Analysis. Satrupa. Our work to develop an effective plan of action to raise our voice against the clearing of our local forest is far from over. As young reporters, we have to understand how our media covers issues like environment. For this, we have to develop some knowledge of analyzing the media. Uzma. How do we do such analysis? In fact, content analysis is probably the oldest way of studying the media. Through content analysis, we can find out how the media covers a particular issue. Nikita, can you please give us an example? Satrupa. Okay, let us take the example of researching how media covers children's issues. The first step is the selection of media or titles. Which type of medium would be selected for the content analysis has to be decided first. It could be radio, television, newspaper, magazines, or the internet. If we decide to do content analysis of newspapers, we will then have to decide which newspapers. Or if television is taken, we will have to decide which television channels. We can also analyze across different media. The second step is to decide how many issues of the publication or what dates of broadcast to select. For instance, to do content analysis of children's issues, we can randomly take all the newspapers published from our area for 15 days. The third step is the sampling of relevant content. Finally, one must decide on the unit of analysis or recording unit, that is, the elements to count. Satrupa. Here is a concrete example in this handout. Handouts. We are doing content analysis of children's issues covered by the media. We take, for example, 4 newspapers being published in our area. The time period we take to do content analysis is 15 days. Next, we decide on the categories or the unit of analysis or the elements to count. The different categories in this case can be A. Type of stories, news, news analysis, features, editorials, advertisements, photographs. B. Degree of importance given to the story. Front page, city page, national page, international page, editorial page. C. Quantum of space given to the story. Length into breadth in column centimeters. D. Nature of stories, news analysis, features, editorials. Stories related to schemes related to children like ICDs, primary education, secondary education, higher education, child health, child rights, child development, child labor, child participation, child exploitation. E. If it is advertisement, nature of advertisement. Positive advertisement, ads promoting commercialization. F. If it is photograph, whether it portrays stereotypes, portrays positive image, portrays negative image. To ensure we are able to easily analyze this issue, we must give codes to the above. Once we have the code, we can analyze the number of times in 15 days a particular item appears. The final analysis will help us understand how children's issues are covered by newspapers and alternatively what issues related to children are mostly taken up by the media. Also, we can conduct content analysis taking 2-3 issues and compare how a particular issue is covered. For instance, to ascertain the degree of importance given to children's issue by the media, we can take 2-3 issues. These could be politics, films, and entertainment and business. Then we can do a comparative study of how children's issue fare vis-a-vis these 3 issues. Also, within children's issues, we can do a comparative study. For instance, we can do a comparative analysis on how issues of corporal punishment, child trafficking, child participation, and children as contributors to community building are addressed by different media. MIL Concept 8 using our traditional media. Our team now have some idea of how to conduct reality check studies, write for their newspapers, and even do some basic media content analysis. However, media literacy doesn't mean just newspapers, television, radio, or other modern means of communication. We can use our local traditional media to create awareness on our cause. Gurminder, how can we use these media? Satrupa, traditional media means the local folk media, different forms of oral communication like storytelling, street plays, etc. Sharing, do you think they are effective? Satrupa, yes, we should use street plays and local folk media to create awareness on the importance of our local forest. Devang, where do we start? Satrupa, first, let us do some basic research on the folk media of our area, identify those who are promoting it and try to work with them. And of course, let us join hands with some local street play group. Uzma, we all can try to write the script. Satrupa, definitely. Once we have done the reality check, we will be in a position to develop an effective script for a street play. You see how fundamental is to do the reality check. It is the starting point of our initiative. We can even use it to develop some local folk songs or storytelling sessions for children. Activity for participants. List various folk media of your area. Do research on any 2 of them and examine how they can be used to deliver messages on the following. First, child marriage. Second, corporal punishment. Third, missing children. Fourth, disability. MIL Concept 9. Analyzing films. Children love to watch films and by watching films they create their own perception of the world. They relate to certain characters, issues, situations that endorse their views on number of issues. Instead of being passive consumers of a narrative, children must inculcate skills to question and analyze the content in films. As young reporters and students of media literacy, they should see different genres of films and analyze them. Satrupa, let us watch a movie and analyze it. Sharing, what film should we see for the day? Satrupa, let us see the movie Gandhi by Richard Attenborough. As we are trying to understand issues of violence and non-violent actions, I think it would be the most relevant film for us to analyze today. It can help us to learn and analyze non-violent actions. It can also help us understand Mahatma Gandhi's approach to non-violent communication. As now we are in the process of developing our own non-violent movement to save our local forest, we must remember Mahatma Gandhi's Satyagraha. Satyagraha is a combination of Satya, truth, love, and Agraha, firmness, force, is completely peaceful. We will be approaching different authorities and other opinion makers. We can learn through this film how our opponents need to be made our allies and friends, not by violence but through honesty and humility. We have learned to be good communicators, so we have to take part in continuous dialogues and discussions. Sharing. But before we watch movie, we should know how to analyze it. Satrupa: Yes, let me give you this handout which has all the points we should keep in mind while analyzing this or, for that matter, any other film. Handout on analyzing a film. A. Who were the main characters and their relationship? B. Did you see any stereotypical portrayal in the film? C. Do you think the movie was gender sensitive? D. What were the most important scenes that you can recall and what you learned from these? What about the sound and settings? E. Do you remember any important dialogue from the film? F. What did you feel while seeing the film? G. What communication lessons have you learned after watching the movie? H. What important lessons you learned from this movie? How can you use these in your daily life? I. How can you use the Gandhian techniques of non-violence in taking up your cause? Sharing. That was great. We never thought there is so much to look into to analyze films. Satrupa. Yes, and this is a very interesting exercise. As part of this media literacy project, we would also develop a list of films that promotes non-violence and share it with others using social media. Activity for participants. Watch 3 movies on children. Deconstruct these films in terms of dialogues, characterization, cinematography, and sound. What are the lessons you learned seeing these movies? Make a comparison of these movies. MIL Concept 10. Role of digital media in collectivizing and conflict resolution. Social media. Sharing. I like spending time on social media. You get to learn so much about your friends and also about friends of friends. Satrupa. Nikita, you spend so much time on social media. What exactly do you do there? Nikita. I post photographs, share my feelings with others, see my friends' photographs, and comment on them. Satrupa. Do you know we can use social media for our purpose also? You can use it to collectivize, create communities of people with similar interests. There are a lot of political and social movements which start with social media. We can also create a community of like-minded people by creating Facebook page or group, Twitter hashtags, or by creating Google groups. This can not only help us in connecting with others but create content collaboratively also. Nikita, let us have a Facebook page. This sounds great. This way we would expand our team. Satrupa, sure we will, but there are certain things which we have to keep in mind while working on social media. Look at the screen. First, do not share any confidential information. Second, be polite. Do not use derogatory or offensive remarks for others. Third, respect others' privacy. Fourth, do not get involved in unnecessary wrangles. Fifth, do your research before you get anyone on your platforms. Sixth, always use Facebook page for the cause for which it has been created. Do not post anything irrelevant. Seventh, try and connect with people who are working on similar issues. Share their work on your platform and do share your work at other platforms too. Eighth, do not post anything that is copyright protected. Create your own content or look for contents that are available under Creative Commons license. Sharing. All the points you have shown in the slide are fine, but what is Creative Commons? Satrupa. Creative Commons is a license that can be given to any sort of content. It could be text, audio, video, images, etc. Once the content is released under Creative Commons, the copyright holder is actually giving away certain rights. The content under creative licenses can be used, reused, redistributed, and remixed depending upon which license has been given to that content. Sharing. How do I find content that is released in Creative Commons? Satrupa. Go to this link, http search creativecommons.org and search for content. Even if you are using this platform, you need to check on individual resources whether they carry CC logo, which means that the specific resource is released under one of the Creative Commons license. Also visit creativecommons.org to know more about Creative Commons. Blogs. Our young reporters can make use of blogs to make their presence felt in digital media. The term blog is shortened form of weblog. Blogs may appear on designated web pages and combine text, images, and links to other hypermedia elements. The people who create blogs are called bloggers. It can contain a topical commentary, description of events, feedbacks, reviews, and opinion. Nowadays, web pages of newspapers also offer blogging facility. The Peace Gong website also offers blogging facilities to children to write on topics of their choice. Some of the other sites in which our children can create their own blogs include www.blogger.com, www.wordpress.com, www.blog.com, etc. Here is a handout from our mentor Satrupa which underlines what one should keep in mind while developing their blogs. Handout on do's and don'ts for bloggers. First, choosing a topic. We need to take a little extra time in defining the topic we want to post. This will enable the post to flow better and the readers will be interested in it. For instance, if we write on a reality check conducted on child marriage, we should try to focus with a smooth flow. Readers will be interested in reading posts. Second, crafting the post title. This is important. It should be catchy. This is crucial in getting readers to start reading his post when they see it in an RSS reader or search engine results page. Third, the opening line. There are hundreds of blogs and other platforms in the internet. None of us has the time to go through stuff which isn't interesting. It is like an inverted pyramid structure. Most significant and interesting things should come first. Only when the reader is impressed with your lead, he will bother to go further. Your points making your posts matter. We may have an interesting title and an exciting opening line, but it is important to get reactions from readers. We come across many posts where it shows zero comments. The reader has to be involved with genuine points to make any comment. Fifth, adding depth. The blog is on a reality check on child marriage in a village in West Bengal. We should ask ourselves as to how we could add depth to it and make it even more useful and memorable for our readers. Sixth, quality control and polishing of posts. We may have great story ideas, but as a blog is expected to be seen by many, we should avoid mistakes on whatever we are writing. Seventh, timing of publishing the post. Timing can be everything. Strategic timing of posts can ensure the right people see it at the right time. Eighth, post promotion. There is no guarantee that lot of people will read it. We can share the link of our blog in social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, email it to friends and use other platforms to publicize it. We can also ping his blog post. Ping is a simple way of letting some specific search engines and websites know that one has updates one's website. There are services like www.pingoat.com and www.pingomatic.com where one can ping one's blog every time it is updated. Then one can use social bookmarking sites. It is an easy way to boost traffic to one's blog. The blog's URL can be submitted to popular social bookmarking sites like StumbleUpon, Dig, and Reddit. Ninth, conversation. A blog is essentially a conversation. Our young reporters, by posting their stories in the blog, are conducting a conversation with readers. They have to ask the readers to comment on what they think and invite comments on their stories and posts. Reality check on child marriage. Mala Khatun, Class 10, Moldanga, Bolpur, West Bengal. Translated from Bengali by local coordinator. Child marriage is a major issue in many parts of the country. One such place is Moldanga village of Birbhum district of West Bengal. Just a few kilometers away from Sriniketan, a cultural hub, this place is cursed by the demons of child marriage along with many other problems like poverty and lack of education. A reality check conducted by children of Moldanga Shishu Panchayat looked at the reasons of growing number of child marriages in the village. The children found illiteracy to be the main reason. Due to lack of education, people are not aware of the correct age of marriage and the harmful consequences of child marriage. Poverty was another reason for parents to give away their girls for marriage. The children are forced to get married by their families so that they can get rid of the burden of responsibilities as early as possible. Most of these families are debt-ridden and are not left with many options. The team came across two incidents of child marriages in the village. She described how a girl was married at a tender age and got separated from her husband within 15 days, and then was forced to remarry another child from the same village, which didn't last either. The girl even attempted suicide, but she survived. Another incident was of a family with four sisters. One of these sisters was burned to death for dowry. Another got married and became mother at a very young age, and now she suffers from a disease. At a tender age of playing and studying, these children are imposed with responsibilities and household matters. Their innocence is being snatched away. Child marriage is a social evil which causes domestic violence, health issues, lack of education, and sometimes even death. There is an utmost need to demolish this ill practice. The Moldanga Shishu Panchayat feels that to stop child marriage, major awareness programs needs to be taken up and educate people, especially girls. I and some of our team members are trying our best to teach the women of the village to read and write. We don't charge any money to teach Brahmachari to the children of Moldanga. We should find a solution of the adverse effects of this social evil by creating more awareness. The society should fight this social monster and make the country a better place to live in. How to initiate a social media campaign? Corporal punishment is still a problem in India and the South Asian regions. Every now and then there are cases related to corporal punishment against children. Though National Commission on Protection of Child Rights issued a guideline related to corporal punishment, still there is a lack of awareness. The power of social media can be harnessed to create awareness on this issue. Before launching the campaign on social media, one must know the objective of the campaign and the target audience. The objective here in this case is to create awareness on corporal punishment, what it is, and what are the guidelines issued by the government on this. Target audience (TA) in this campaign would be teachers, parents, and students. To get the social media campaign right, it is good to consider Weber's 7-step process. First, observe. Find the online places where people gather, listen what they are saying, and map it. Visit groups, blogs, chat forums, and see what people are talking about the issue in hand. Second, recruit. Enlist the people who would be interested in talking about this issue and willing to extend help in promoting the cause. Third, evaluate platforms. Now, keeping in view the target audience and the content, evaluate which platform would be relevant. What are the social network that your TA visit? Is it Facebook, Twitter, blogs, online groups, WhatsApp, etc.? Fourth, engage. This is about content. What kind of content would engage your target audience, motivate them to talk about and further share the content? Fifth, measure. Once you have started the campaign, keep on evaluating the campaign in terms of number of people reached with your message. How is it shared? Is it only reading or your TA is actively engaged with the content, etc.? Sixth, promote. Once the relevant message is formulated, promote it as much as you can on different platforms as well. Seventh, improve. Keep improving. Social media offers an opportunity to improve your content whenever you want to do so. So leverage this strength. Let us imagine Peace Gong team decides to launch a campaign on this. Following would be the steps to implement this. Though there is not hard and fast rule, one can devise their own strategy to implement this. The idea finally is to create awareness, to reach relevant audience and motivate them to actively engage with the message. Stage 1. Identify the target group. Let us say following different groups have to be targeted: A. Parents, B. Teachers, C. Students or children. Stage 2. Once the target audience is identified, one must know which social media platform they access. A. Parents, Facebook, Twitter, school websites, WhatsApp, etc. B. Teachers, school websites, other educational websites like that of CBSE, NCRT, etc. Facebook, online groups, chat forums, etc. C. Students or children, Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. Stage 3. Once the social media platform is identified where all the target groups spend their time, message should be created for each medium, and also the message should be customized according to the target groups. For example, the message 1 should be on what is corporal punishment. Let us see how we customize message for the different groups. For teachers, Facebook message or school website or online forums or WhatsApp. FB. Have you ever used hitting, smacking, slapping, spanking children with the hand or with an implement, or gave punishment to students which belittles, humiliates, denigrates, scapegoats, threatens, scares, or ridicules the child? If yes, you are indulging in corporal punishment. Twitter. Stop it. You are into teaching, not policing. Hashtag corporal punishment. For students, FB. Have you ever smacked, slapped, spanked, belittled, humiliated, threatened, and ridiculed by your teachers? If yes, then you are subjected to corporal punishment. Do you know you can call at this number to complain? Twitter. Stop pinching, it hurts. Hashtag corporal punishment. For parents, FB. Being parent does not mean you have all rights to hit, slap, humiliate, ridicule your child. This is corporal punishment. Twitter. Being parents means to nurture, not to show authority. Hashtag corporal punishment. Stage 4. Once the campaign has started, reach as many people as possible. Engage them with the message so they also respond to it and share it with others further. Stage 5. Share the message on other social media platforms as well. Stage 6. Keep moving further with message 1 at a time. Once you have created awareness on what is corporal punishment, then one can move on to the guidelines issued by the government on corporal punishment. Expected outcome. The outcome of any social media is to collectivize like-minded people on some issue, mobilize them to talk about it, and take action whenever and wherever needed. Suggestion to Peace Gong team. To begin with, one must start any social campaign with small TA group. This would help you to measure the effectiveness of the campaign. Conclusion. The Peace Gong project is running successfully in India and different parts of the world. All the activities suggested in this manual can be replicated anywhere in the world. The idea through Peace Gong Media Literacy Program is to empower children and young people so that they can express themselves and make a difference in various peace initiatives. Some of the awards received by Peace Gong team is worth mentioning here as it motivates all of us to keep going. The Peace Gong Kashmir Bureau got the My World Partner Recognition Awards in the volunteerism category in the UN in September 2013. http www.unv.org. EN News Resources News Talk UNV Executive Coordinator Presence.html. One of our child reporters, Tansila, was nominated as an Asian Girl Child Ambassador by the Garden of Hope Foundation, Taiwan. http asiangirlcampaign.wordpress.com 20130909 Nominated Asian Girl Ambassador Tansila Muyarikandi. This manual suggests some activities that can be conducted in PGMLP. Mentors are free to modify and contextualize their activities. We would also expect mentors to share with us the new activities which they introduce and also share with us the experience of conducting the activities mentioned in the manual. Any query, Suggestions related to the content of this manual may be addressed to the authors of this manual. T.K. Thomas, Chairman, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore Foundation. thepeacegong@gmail.com and radioactive.thomas@gmail.com. Vedabhyas Kundu, Program Officer, Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Smriti and Volunteer, The Peace Gong. vedabhyas@gmail.com. Anubhuti Yadav, Associate Professor, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. anubhuti@gmail.com. Any query on how to be a part of Peace Gong newspaper can be addressed to editor, The Peace Gong at gmail.com.